Marvel Studios presents Star Wars: The Acolyte. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Acolyte-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Drew.
And we are back with Acolyte Season 1, Episode 1, Lost/Found, and Episode 2, Revenge/Justice. Come on, Drew, where's your button?
Sorry, wrong button.
All right, enough of that.
Yeah.
We already, whatever. But yes, the Acolyte is finally here. We've been waiting for it for a long time.
I'm gonna be real. You caught me off guard. I don't know.
I don't understand that intro.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. For everyone listening, we had no idea what Jeremiah was going to say until he said it.
Facts.
So we didn't.
Which is every week, just so you guys know.
Yeah, I mean, well, sometimes there. At least back in the day, we would discuss things, but like that, I don't know what to think about that.
Well, what was you were gonna do a one, but I said no. What was your?
Oh, I was gonna say why people like the Acolyte so far?
Why?
Because it has a lot of soul. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Master. Yeah. Anyways,
I get it.
For anyone out there who is listening who chuckled, thank you. It's much appreciated.
Yep. All right. Well, quick before we start, we had a Q&A from last week's episode on Spotify.
Okay.
So last week with Comics with Grace number 2, which was an amazing episode, we went over some Darth Vader comics with highlights and focus on the Dr. Aphra storyline. And so in that discussion, we talked about Padme giving birth to twins, and we were like, did Padme know she was having twins before she gave birth? And so the question was, what do you think? Yes or no? And so we had just 3 answers. Darth Bruno says yes because she already had 2 names already to give them. Easton says no. And Easton also has a question for the voicemail time in there, so remind me to go check this Q&A for voicemail time. Then Jakob says, I don't think she did.
Yeah, I think that her having 2 names could just be like
everyone has 2 names back up.
Yeah, she had one for a boy, one for a girl, and she was like, "Oh."
But she didn't seem surprised. But like when she was talking to Anakin, she was only like our child, singular. So,
I mean, there were a number of months between her saying that and the end of the movie.
No. Because everything that happens during that movie takes place during the final 4 episodes of the Clone Wars. Episode 3 only takes like a couple months or a couple days.
I thought it was longer than that.
I used to think that too. I thought it was a really long time.
I didn't think it was a long time, but I thought it was at least like a month.
No, it's literally the last 4 episodes of.
Because they come back from the Outer Rim sieges, and then they go straight. Well, this isn't canon, but they go straight into the battle over Coruscant, and then they.
What? That's still canon.
How's that not canon?
It's still canon where Anakin and Obi-Wan were when they get the call from Ahsoka. They meet up with Ahsoka.
I guess that is true. I guess that is true.
And so that happens
like,
right. They literally go from that episode to episode 3. And so it's only like a couple days, 3 days. But anyway, we're not here to talk about it. If you want to know more, go listen to the Clone Wars Save podcast. Search for that. That's us.
My question is, I think a better question is, did Anakin know?
No.
That's what the whole comic discussion was.
Because the comic suggests that he doesn't know.
Here's my thing. While that might be true, I find it hard to believe because he's one of the most powerful Force users of all time. He's standing there in front of her in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. How did he not sense 2 lives?
Because darkness clouds judgment.
Oh my gosh!
And he was worried about her freaking out in the moment.
Okay. All right.
And it's not until episode 6 when he's like, a sister. You have a sister. Maybe
Yeah,
I can turn her.
that's true.
But we're not here for that discussion. We're here
Yeah.
for the Acolyte. And so before we do our breakdowns and thoughts, Drew, just give your flex on what you did on Monday night. Just get it out of the way, then we don't got to hear about it anymore.
Well, I was going to just talk about it in my reaction. That's part of my reaction, like my overall thoughts. But I don't want to go first.
All right, Andrew. Well, I guess we'll just jump into it.
Suddenly,
so overall thoughts on these 2 episodes together, not individually. So,
yeah, I really liked them. I will say that I would say this is the show that I like second to Andor right out of the gate. Now, that's probably going to change. I say that saying it's probably going to change because the story, I feel like this show. Okay, so going back, do you remember season 7 of Clone Wars and we were like, the Bad Batch episodes, we were like, but then you get them in one cohesive story and you're like, okay, these are really good together.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen with this. But I will say that as 2 introductory episodes, they were very enjoyable. So like, all in all, I'm probably jumping the gun here. I would give them like a 7.5 or an 8, knowing that from here it's going to get better. Like I have a feeling that it's going to get better, but I want to make it very clear that like I didn't not enjoy these. I think the High Republic aesthetic is beautiful in this. The cinematography is great. That shot of the freaking Jedi Temple, I guarantee you it was a miniature in part. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll eat my words later, but it looked beautiful. I think this show, there have been moments in the past where some of the costumes and outfits have felt more like cosplay, like really good cosplay, than production level stuff to me.
Mm-hmm.
And this show, I didn't get that once. Like the whole world building.
Not even with the lightsabers? How thick
Okay,
they are?
I don't want. We might have to talk about the lightsaber specifically. But other than that, I think the environments, the costuming, I think it was all very well done. This, I will say this, it didn't blow me away, but I'm very excited for the rest of the story, if that makes sense. So like, not mind blowing, but there wasn't a single part of it that I have 2 gripes that we'll go through, but there wasn't a single part of it that I was like, this is not enjoyable. I love Soul. I love Lee Jung Jae. He's fantastic. Vernestra is annoying as heck, and I hope she gets less annoying. But she, interestingly enough, I feel like she's a good indicator of where the Jedi are heading, which might be intentional. I both hate and love Yord simultaneously.
Yeah.
I like his Padawan a lot. Old man Logan girl.
Jackie.
Yes. And of course I love May and Osha. Like she's really good at playing 2 different characters.
Yeah.
Like really good. It's cool. It's cool seeing Yellow in canon as a lightsaber blade.
We see it in canon with Temple Guards and Clone Wars.
Well, like
but not live action.
Yeah, live action canon. Like that's the one character or the one color that we haven't seen. I don't think so. I know there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, Force Foo, the combat looks stupid," and like quite frankly, I really enjoyed it a lot.
I haven't like paid attention, but I've heard there's a lot of hate on this show. Am I wrong?
I haven't. Okay, so I haven't even had time to dive into it, but I've heard the same thing.
So it's either you think it's the best Star Wars ever made, or you think it's the worst Star Wars ever made. That's basically people's reactions.
Apparently, IG even posted a thing that they hated this show.
I didn't see IG's
like
thing.
IGN.
Huh. All I know is like it didn't blow me away yet, but I definitely I did not hate this. I will say this, I'm more optimistic about this moving forward than I was Obi-Wan originally when the first few episodes came out.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I like it. I think it's going to be great. I think by the end of it, I think they're doing a really good job of pacing the mystery well. Like we don't know everything, and I'm glad we don't. I'm glad that we've got a lot of story. I'm glad that a lot of the trailer scenes we got through in these first 2 episodes. So there still seems to be a lot coming that I think could be great. This isn't the right time, I'm guessing, but I do have those 2 gripes for whenever we hit those moments. But yeah,
All right, cool. Drew, your overall thoughts?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I feel like I was kind of concerned that it's from my experience of it, but
Which was what? To say it. Get it out of the way.
so I was able to snag a showing at a theater the day before it got dropped. And if you guys are involved in the Discord, you guys know that, because that's why there was no watch parties for episode 1 and 2, because I already watched it. And I watched it in their IMAX at Marcus, and it was really fun. Like, and Tanner came with me. Shout out to Tanner. You guys,
Was there a lot of people there? Or?
It was packed, full house, 500
Okay.
seats, all full. Line out the
Jeez.
door. They had to turn people away. Got there 2 hours in advance.
Holy smokes! That's
Wh-
why.
was
Which
it
is
ticket-
why I
was
didn't
it-
even like tell Jeremiah about it, because I'm like, there's no way I could even get him there. Because
I get home and I go on Instagram and I see
Yeah.
you and Tanner in a movie theater. I'm like,
So was
what?
was it ticketed or was it first come first serve?
It was like first come first serve, like RSVP ticketed.
Yeah.
So like you signed up through Fandango, and then you got an email that you got it.
Mhm.
But then it was still like, depending on how many of the press came, you
Oh.
were able. So like you can stay in line, but then they had a number of press. So then there were some people that if they didn't get there early enough, they're in the back of the line. And if too many press people come, because I think press, like one press person was invited for, like allowed 4 people, and every other ticket was like you got 2 guests.
Jeez.
You got 1 guest. So I was originally going to take my younger brother, but then he was like, "Oh, yeah, so don't be jealous, but I got tickets to Acolyte." I was literally gonna surprise you on Monday, because I also got tickets to Acolyte. And so he met me there with his friend, and then I was like, well, I have no one else to go. I was gonna bring Jeremiah, but you don't even get off until like 6:30,
Right.
and I had to be there at 4:30 to be in line for this.
Oh,
So then I just told Tanner, and so Tanner met
you
me there.
settled for Tanner. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tanner texted me Monday night, and I had like just gotten off work, and he's like, "You going to see Acolyte in theaters?" I was like, "No, I didn't find out it was in theaters until you just texted." Like, I had no idea.
Yeah,
And
it
he's
was
"You
like,
going to see it in theaters?" I was like, no, I didn't even know they were doing
Yeah.
it, dude. Like,
it was cool. Like, it was done by Disney. They had like security with was it night vision goggles? So like if you pulled out your phone at all, you automatically got kicked out.
oh dang,
It was like pretty intense. Like, gave us posters, and they're like hard stock posters too.
great. Well, that's
Yeah.
not making it any easier for me to know that I didn't go. So
Oh, sorry. But it was fun. Anyway, so like I was afraid like my viewing of it kind of like made me like it more than the actual show.
Have you only watched it once then?
No, I
assume?
watched it again
Okay.
today, and no, like I like it. I think a lot of the characters acting were really well picked, especially the main
Yeah.
character.
Yep.
Like, she was real. I really like her. Like, she's a really good actor. So
Yep.
like for me, especially like if we're talking about the Kenobi show, the biggest thing in the beginning of that show, especially the first 2 episodes we got, were like the main bad guy character. Her acting was like so unbearable in the beginning of that show that kind of took you out of the show. And the only character for me that kind of like bothered me was the Padawan. Like, her acting's a little like, I don't know. Like, it just seems
Jackie?
like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
she's great.
She was fine,
If
but
any-
like
If anything, Yord's Padawan. I just wanted to freaking slap her. That sounds really bad. saying
Why?
out
What
loud.
did she?
Why? She was like in there for like 10 minutes.
She was so smug. She
but
just,
on purpose though.
I know, but it was just like
I think
I was
Org
like,
was kind of like,
well, I mean,
he's not the best.
he's like the poster child of what the Jedi want to be.
His
Like,
character is like confusing too, because there's like one point where like he doesn't trust her, and then you think like oh, this girl's in the worst place at the wrong time. Like, it's so bad. I'm like, oh, you're stupid. Like, oh, what are you doing? And then he actually defended her. And then
Yeah.
the next scene after that, he already like, wait, but we can't actually let her be by herself. Like, but you just said that she didn't do it. So why are you acting like that?
I think it's a good way to show that like he's starting off very by the books, and I think
Yeah.
you're seeing him being conflicted.
His development.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I think all like especially all the other actors, I really enjoyed them. Like
Yeah.
especially like the main actors, like I really liked their pacing of the show, and they're like you felt like you were already in it and you knew them already, and it
Mhm.
didn't take you that long.
Yeah.
And then like the whole Acolyte story of the twins thing, spoilers, like I like the story. Like we kind of Jeremiah called it, like we kind of figured like there were twins potentially
Yeah.
because there's two pictures of the same person on the poster, one with a mask,
Yeah.
one's not. But like the way they developed those characters so far, I enjoy. I really like it. And it didn't, especially in the theater, it did not look as um the first trailer looked really like choppy and like very much like, oh, they're on a set. Especially in the movie theater, it didn't feel like that at all. You
Yeah.
felt like you were watching a movie the entire time.
Yeah.
The only thing was some of the ships kind of looked animated a little bit sometimes, but I don't know. Overall, I enjoy it. I'm excited to see where they're gonna go with it. Unlike you though, Andrew, I'm kind of worried that's gonna get worse.
I don't think it will.
So right now I'm like, I like the show. Like Steph liked it. Like
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah,
enjoyable
Kaya liked it
show.
too.
And
Yeah.
like it's refreshing no matter what. It's refreshing to be above episode 1. Where like they're developing this story, and even from the novels and stuff that we've read of the High Republic, it's or even separated from that.
Yeah.
So they can do what they want to
Yep.
do
Yep.
and not mess anything up for anyone really.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that.
I
It's
think
refreshing.
you're spot on. I think this is a really good example of how to treat what would be considered a legacy character in Vernestra, because like obviously she has a super long lifespan. She's she's still around, which is also very sad when you think about it, because like she's seen a lot of her closest friends like come into the order and also die. But we're not gonna, that's for another day. But like she's there, and she's like the singular tie to the books we've been reading, right? But they don't overplay it. Like it's in the same era, but you're spot on in saying like, because it's like 100 years off, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
100 years off from the books, and then 100 years from
episode 1.
Or
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So like we're far enough removed where it's like it makes sense to have a legacy character. It makes sense to have something to tie it in. But the only thing that they're carrying over from the books is the setting and like the overall vibe, which in many ways is how some of the, I know, go ahead and roll your eyes, Jeremiah, the EU novels feel, and especially in like the Old Republican stuff. Like the settings and the vibe are still the same, but they're all these like self-contained stories with different characters. And that's one of the things that, I don't know, there's a part of me that likes that more than like, it's Luke Skywalker again.
Yeah.
Like we're doing that
because
thing.
you're also going to be nitpicking that character too. You're like, well, why would he do that? He wouldn't do that. And
great.
like to start over, and this is the first time that we've got Jedi that is above everything else. I mean, I feel like at some point we're going to see Yoda in this show. It wouldn't surprise me if we get like a glimpse of him, like maybe even just talking on a walkie or something. But like,
on a walkie.
I don't
He's
know.
got the old yellow Nokia.
No, like the one from episode 1.
Oh, the Razor.
The big one though. The big one. The first season one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it just felt refreshing, and like me and Tanner, like even Tanner was like, "Oh, I enjoyed it. It was fun." Like it wasn't something that like I didn't walk out of the theater thinking, "Did I like it?" I'm not sure. Like, and so I don't know. I enjoyed it. Jeremiah, let us have it.
But Andrew, you're gonna say something.
I was just gonna say, I think we've already had so much development in these first 2 episodes. So like I could totally see, Drew, how you would be like, I'm afraid that it's going to get worse because
Well,
we've already
because I
got so much.
don't know what we're gonna get.
But that's the thing. That mystery holds so much great potential, but also so much anxiety because
Mhm.
you're right. Like look, the twins know about each other now. We've already
Yeah,
gotten that
they've
whole
already seen each other.
Yeah, they've already seen each other. We've already established that like May has this like anime villain, to-do list of killing these 4 Jedi without the weapons and all these, like we've already
Mhm.
gotten so much. And I will say that a lot of it, they did a really good job of telling us just enough, showing us just enough without giving too much away too, because there's still a lot that we don't know about their upbringing and about the fire that happened. And
Yep.
like, we know that the 4 Jedi were there, but like, what was going on? Why? Like
They
the
thought one
freaking like
she
Torben,
burned.
like the thing that she says to Torben before he takes the poison. Like you're like, what? Wait, what? Like what did he do? So
Yeah, like he literally couldn't live with himself and he hasn't
yeah,
talked for 10 years. That story arc, I was like, dude, that's sweet. Like
yeah.
that's so intense.
So like I do think I see where you're coming from, but it also has an equal amount of potential to be really good. And I really hope that it is. Like I really hope that they treat the reveal of whoever this Sith is really well.
Sith.
I think it is.
There's evidence for that in this episode, but there's also not evidence. So
Yeah.
we'll
There's
talk about it.
definitely some dark side juju happening.
Well,
But it
Darkseid's
could
Force users, but
well, it could also be the witch. But we don't.
well,
Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Jeremiah, let us have it. You had the whole
yeah.
marble thing, so we expect
Here we go.
an explanation here.
So I'll say this: I really, really like the story, but like we already knew, basically that's what the story was going
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But I kind of hated it.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, when you sent that GIF,
Yeah, I was like, oh, he
I had a
hates it.
feeling that was
Here
not
comes Jeremiah's point
that
of
was
view.
not a good like.
And here's the thing: 2 weeks ago when we did the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan the Master and Apprentice book review, like I said on there, like when it comes to Disney Star Wars, like I defend it and like it more than both of you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you do.
and like I always, even all the criticism of people, I always try and justify it and like explain like whatever. That's just what I've always done, because like I just want to like Star Wars. I don't want to like complain about it.
Sure.
But like last night when I watched these 2 episodes, when I was done, I was like, this is terrible.
Oh no.
How?
Like I would say every aspect that you guys listed of what you liked, I completely disagree with.
Oh no.
Jeez.
Oh no.
Like, okay, I'll say this: I do like Soul and I like Jackie. I think
Okay.
I like them 2 characters. I think Soul has a lot of Qui-Gon Jinn characteristics in him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I like Soul. He's cool. Jackie, I think she's cool.
Yeah.
But like, it just did not feel like Star Wars to me at all. And I understand.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
understand that this is 100 years
Okay.
before any visual stuff, so I know they're going to make changes. It's
Sure.
supposed to look different,
Sure.
but it didn't feel like Star Wars. Like I don't think we saw one. Okay, we saw one alien species that we've seen before.
There
Everything
were a
else
few.
is. I only remember seeing one that I remember.
There were a few in the marketplace that I felt like I was like, oh, you know.
Maybe I have to go back to there's so many people walking through, but like it didn't like the.
Did you only watch it once?
I watched them twice.
Oh.
And I'll say the second time watching through, I enjoyed it more.
Sure.
But like, the moment that I felt really worried about the show was after the opening scene was done, and we go to Osha's room on her ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, the way it looked and felt and was portrayed, it felt like a Marvel TV show to me. Like one of like the lighthearted Marvel TV shows. Like it just, it didn't seem like Star Wars. It didn't. The aesthetic wasn't there. She was literally wearing just a t-shirt and pajama shorts. Like there's nothing Star Wars about her aesthetic. Later on in the show, she's wearing like a tank top. I'm like, what? Like what? This isn't Star Wars.
That's very. First and foremost, I respect that. I just want to, before you continue, I just want you to know there's nothing wrong with what you're saying.
Actually, when you say that, that kind of did stood out to me.
Well, it's interesting because that had the opposite effect. It helped me feel like that's a lived-in world where it's like, oh, she has a tank top. Like tank tops are a thing.
Like she's not just wearing
It's not like a
her
space tank
flight
top.
jacket all the time.
Right. I mean, like, so yeah, but Jeremiah, please continue.
So like the aesthetic was just hard for me to get through. Like a lot of the ships, like I knew the ships were going to be different, but it didn't feel like Star Wars ships to me.
Okay.
You guys both said that you thought that Amandla, the main character actress, like did very well acting. I did not like her acting at all.
Wow.
Interesting.
It was very Marvel young actor show like acting. Like it felt like, I liked the Marvel show Miss Marvel, like the teenage girl.
Yeah.
Like I liked that show, but it felt like that level of acting where like it wasn't terrible, and there were times where I felt like,
wait, are you talking about the main character in that show?
Yeah,
she was fantastic. I loved her acting.
It was good, but it wasn't like that style of acting is not what I think of in Star Wars.
Okay,
like lightheartedness,
like just kind of like some of like she's still a young actress, so she's learning how to act still, type of thing.
Sure.
And like some of it, like it's kind of weird because she's playing two characters, May and Osha, so you have to have two different personalities.
Yeah,
but like I felt like there were two different personalities, but then I felt like at the end of the second episode, May sounded a lot like Osha. Like, and then it was just kind of like, what's going on? Like, she can't keep the separate like characters really well.
Now, are you talking after they saw one another or before?
Yes, after.
Okay, so I could potentially explain that. Yeah, I could.
They're a dyad in the Force, and now
no.
No.
What I mean by that is like May is putting on this really tough facade because she's trying to please a master. Yep. And I think seeing her sister made her crack and made her revert a little bit. She's not fully dark side.
She's also not that strong as she portrays herself to be.
That's also true.
Because when she goes and asks for the poison, she seemed very weak again. Like instantly, she's like, I know the master wants me to beat him without any weapons, but come on, let me get this one. Like she's not as intense as she's portraying to the public.
See,
and so which is why I also don't think that guy's actually a Sith, because I don't think he's actually as strong as he's also portraying himself to be.
Interesting.
Because I think he's also manipulating her because he wants these people dead, but he's actually not as strong as he's betraying himself to be.
You think it's Jar Jar behind it all?
I mean, that would be epic as heck,
but yeah,
I don't think it's Plagueis anymore. No way.
No, but Jeremiah, please continue.
So, like, I don't know. I had mixed feelings about Amandla.
Okay.
And I really didn't like a lot of the dialogue. It just felt so corny and like easy and very like modern, like our real world, like lingo type of stuff, and like the way we talk rather than what we get in Star Wars normally. Like it just felt like it was very elementary dialogue. Like it wasn't a lot. I felt like a lot in these episodes. There's like main like big story points of like scenes that the writers wanted, and then they between those scenes they're like, oh, we don't know how to get there, so we're gonna put this fluff in between these scenes. Like they didn't like. It wasn't a coherent like start to finish in these stories. I felt like they're jumping from point to point, and they just put stuff in between to like get to those points, which I felt was kind of weird. And they did that with a lot with the dialogue, and like just a lot of some of like the weird quirky comments and scenes. Like the whole Yord without a shirt on was the stupidest thing in all of Star Wars. That was just so stupid. It made no sense. Like, what was the point of that?
It's supposed to be. It's
exactly. You don't
a funny
even know.
moment. There's funny moments in Star Wars all the time,
but it wasn't funny though. To me,
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was I thought it was.
It
Funny.
was just awkward and weird.
But he's steaming his robes, like for
Like,
someone who wants to be so by the
he's-
books.
Yeah.
Like
and
for
then he
me,
got caught without a shirt on.
yo, he's a tryhard.
but like
Yeah.
it wasn't. But we don't.
He's that character that you love to hate him because he's just that teacher pet.
But by the end of it, I know he's gonna have a moment, and you're gonna be like, "Yo, Yord, my dude."
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. I don't. I felt like that comedy in that moment was not earned yet.
Okay.
Like, because literally 2 seconds before, like Jackie's like, "Is Yord coming?" And Soul's like, "What's wrong with Yord?" And she's like, "Yord is Yord." That's all we get.
You see
and then you see him without a shirt on,
literally
steaming his
staining,
robe, like
but then
an
that's
idiot.
I felt like we didn't earn it. Like if that was like in the second episode or something, where like we had some of his weird like personality that we see and kind of like how he's by the book, and then we see that, it probably would have paid off.
You think it was
better.
just too soon?
It was too
for
soon.
that moment. Interesting.
It was too soon.
It didn't.
And like I don't know. Like I said, the second time I watched it through, I liked it. But I like the story. I have no problems with the story. So I think, like,
do you like how they're portraying the story too, or do you think it's too fast?
I think it is kind of fast.
I'm afraid it's going to be too fast.
Like I knew of the rumors that there was twins, that May and Osha were twins going in. So like, but I thought what they were gonna do was that Osha was gonna be framed for the murder, and like for most of the season she was gonna be on the run, and then we didn't even know that there was twins, and we just keep seeing May kill these Jedi, and she's still on the run, and like I thought it wasn't gonna be till like towards the end of the season that we realized that there were twins, but like literally, I felt like if you didn't know about the twins thing, that second scene when she's in her bedroom, you could have figured it out that that wasn't the same girl from the first scene in the opening.
Actually,
you knew.
So I knew going in that there were twins, but there was low key still a part of me that was like, wait, was that actually her? Is she just pretending to be
her
good?
Her hair was shorter.
There was 2 different hairstyles. Which what they're gonna say is, oh, she cut her hair after she killed Indara, and that's why she has short hair in the second scene. But like, I just didn't. I felt like I would have thought that right away. That
I figured out right like instantly. I'm like, oh, they're doing twins.
Interestingly enough, well, I mean, like I knew they were doing twins because I had read the article where she confirmed it.
Oh, well, okay, and that's to my point. Like, dude, they literally had people with night vision goggles watching us to make sure we didn't spoil anything. But then they spoiled everything for this show, like weeks ago. Like, there's still scenes out there that I'm like, we don't need to see this stuff right now.
Yeah, like the whole light whip thing. They that bull crap. Like, well, whatever. Anyway. But then my final thing, like something that Drew said that I disagree with, is like you felt that it didn't feel like a set. It felt like it was bigger and open. I felt that they were really constrained by a set, and everything was very small.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Like with the volume, you know, it get that sometimes where it feels like on a set, but you see the background and it's full, and it kind of they make it work.
They did this in the volume though.
No, I don't think they did.
Not all of it, no.
They might have some, but I think like
they did. They had physical sets for a lot of this, yeah.
But they also did do it in the volume too, because I listened to that interview with the main director and Dave Filoni, and she said that working in the volume was really fun. So I don't know how much, but
I think if they're working in the volume, that just means that their sets were a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Or
they did a combination of larger sets and volume work too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just felt like everything was constrained to a small set, and it just felt like it was very claustrophobic for me watching a lot of times.
See, and I see your point of view about how you feel like it didn't feel like Star Wars, and maybe was ignorant by me because I'm viewing this as a show that's a world that's even older than our current world. So like technology is different. Like they just now they're enforcing R2 droids to actually do the outside work,
which is so funny because that's how we find R2. I love that point.
Yeah, Like,
I was like,
so
wait a
like
minute.
they're still developing what they're doing, and like the technology is gonna somehow drastically grow within 100 years. Which, I mean, if you look at our technology, that's real too. So it makes, I don't know, for me, it didn't like take me out of it as much as it did for you, but I could see your point of view. Like, I do understand why that it kind of does feel a little different than the normal Star Wars. And my thing is like, it doesn't feel any more different though than episode 8 Star Wars.
It is interesting that you felt this way, Jeremiah, because I have felt that way about Star Wars, Disney Star Wars for a very long time. Like there were still moments in The Mandalorian, all 3 seasons, where it didn't feel like Star Wars to me. There were moments in Kenobi that I think that what you're hitting on is a larger production thing. And
Mhm.
and it's and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't have an explanation for it. I really don't. But there is something that was left behind in the prequels. And I don't know if it's just the quote advancement in CG or the production techniques. Like I can pinpoint little things. Like for example, I hate the way the lightsabers slide against each other now because they're using the light poles.
Right.
Like in the prequels, they didn't do that.
Right.
They like stuck and they were and like that. So like when I grew up, I was like, oh, lightsabers, like there's resistance there. And then when you start seeing them slide around, you're like, this feels fake, you know? So like I know that's for me, that's one thing, right? I think some of the costumes have felt very
Well, you
like
mentioned that earlier. Like they feel.
cosplay, you know. But so like there are all these things, but like it's interesting to hear you finally catch up with that and express that because like I think there is something there for each of us that has really felt maybe it's overly polished or maybe it's like I don't know.
Yeah, but you say that, but then Andor didn't feel like that at all.
Yes, but
Andor
I
didn't feel overly polished, or characters didn't feel like they didn't fit in the world. Even
yes,
Cereal Man, he still felt like he fit like, oh yeah, this guy's supposed to be eating cereal in that outfit. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But I
and I
think
think
my point of view from the show is because it is 100 years before all this, maybe I just overlooked it all because I was just like, oh, this is a different world and everything looks different. And they don't even have really droids that much right now. And she just has an iPod droid. Like that droid kind of was like,
it
So
reminded me of the companion you have in a video game that unlocks new abilities that
yeah,
just like is your thing. You know
hundred
what I'm saying?
percent.
it's like a Swiss Army droid. That's basically what
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Like
it's
I've
like
been
a
watching
iPhone.
I've been
So
watching Micaiah play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door on Switch. And like it's the same thing with Mario. He gets different abilities as you need to progress in the game. And I was
Or
like,
even
oh,
like
he
Mario Odyssey, his hat talks to him in
yeah,
certain
yeah, yeah,
points.
yeah. It's like,
It's
oh,
like
she
that,
needs a
yeah,
shock thing, or oh, she needs like a,
yeah.
so but it is interesting. And I think I I I don't know if anybody's like really done a study on that. But there is something different. And I get what you're saying, Jeremiah, because I've felt
Yeah.
that way. I just didn't feel that way with this,
right,
interestingly
because
enough.
I think as to like the aesthetics of like clothing and stuff that you mentioned, like I see the differences between all the different eras of Star Wars, but I also see the similarities, which is
Mhm.
ties it all together for me. So I
Mhm.
can see the differences
Mhm.
and overlook it because I see, oh, I could see how things could change over time.
Mhm.
But I just think that the aesthetic with some of the costumes and then the general aesthetic in Acolyte is too different
Hmm.
for me because
But if you look at the High Republic comics, it looks like that though.
right, but we get very minimal visual aids, and so it's like I still
It,
picture Acolyte stuff as if I'm doing it with Clone
uh,
Wars or with the movies that we have. So like that's how I
mhm.
picture it. Um, but I guess like the last thing before we kind of go into scene by scene is kind of asking you guys, when you were watching, did it look like it was like like a hazy over, like it was kind of a lighter color, like it was like a white filter over everything?
No.
It felt like it was stylized to be like there's like a white film, like a very faint.
You're
Like,
talking about like a faint bloom to everything.
no, I don't know about bloom ball. It just looked like they raised their white levels on everything, or put like a like it was trying to have a different like old feel to it or something. Like it was like a retro look to it at all.
I didn't get
Check
that.
your TV settings.
Oh, my TV settings are fine.
I will say before we go into scene
Because
by scene,
I didn't get that, especially in the theater. I didn't get that.
I will say scene by scene. Before we do scene by scene, my two quips are I do not enjoy the lightsabers.
Yeah, Tanner was literally mumbling to me the entire show.
Why?
Like,
What was
Yeah.
wrong with them?
they're so thick.
They're chonky, dude. And so here I'm gonna go out and say this. My peak lightsaber for me was prequel lightsabers, and part of that is because like those movies came out when I was younger and I was more impressionable. And I think those movies, the combination of those movies and Clone Wars, really helped solidify. And the special edition re-releases of the original movies, which were similar to the prequel lightsabers, like I feel like that just kind of cemented itself in my brain, my child brain, as like that's what a lightsaber should look like. But like this one, they seem a little bit more dull. There's not as much separation of like the white in the middle and the color out on the outside.
Yours is just a straight silver cylinder. Like there's no texture on that thing.
Yeah,
at all.
and so like I don't like that. I don't like. It's funny because like I love the thickness and the way the prequel sabers looked, and then Rebels they did the Ralph McQuarrie thing and it went really thin, and then I feel like this is almost a little too thick, and I also think the hilts look more like Galaxy's Edge sabers.
Literally what Tanner was saying is that he thinks they developed these like
to
that
make them look better. Yeah,
to make it more sellable in Galaxy's Edge.
yeah.
'Cause especially if you look at like Ahsoka's double lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge, they're like
those things are
footballs.
huge.
They're
huge.
huge.
They're like the size of my forearm.
They're
yeah.
massive, but then they're not.
Yeah.
And like other entities like has fixed that issue.
Yeah. So like my lightsaber hilt from Galaxy's Edge, when we got done, I looked at Micaiah and I went and got it. I was like, it literally looked like they had Galaxy's Edge sabers on their belts.
Yeah.
To me,
I'm looking at my poster right now, and
yeah,
she can't even fully close her hand around it. Like it's massive.
So like, because like in the prequels, they were so thin and agile, and like you could tell. But so I don't know.
But also to your point, or to that point, what I told Tanner, I was like, well, if you think about it though, maybe like 300 years before this, they had backpacks on that were actually letting
proto sabers.
Yeah. So like, think about like where we are.
Well, it's like
they haven't got slim yet.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, but I don't know though. I don't know though because like this is after.
I'm giving them a pass. This is my version.
Like this is after the Guardian protocols are enacted, and I've seen some of the old High Republic sabers on the covers of the books, and they're not.
No, I know. If you look at the books, because I said that to Tanner, and then I looked at like the covers of the books.
Yeah. I do think I don't know, they could look a little bit better. Is that a big quip? No, not for me. Like I'm still gonna love the show, but like
it is for Tanner.
I think that the way the lightsabers interact though with each other, that whole sliding and bouncing thing, I have always hated that. I do not like that at all. But I get it.
I do want to say, from watching it with a group of people, everyone clapped at the end of the movie, or at the end of both episodes.
Yeah, people
cheered at certain parts. People were laughing at certain parts.
Great.
So like, especially in the movie theater thing, like people had a lot. Like it felt like people liked it, and people were talking about it as they left, and like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked it. Like everyone was like kind of mingling and talking about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I'm curious to see how more people view it. And like Jeremiah, like I understand exactly what you're saying. And now that you pointed out like that shirt, I remember her getting off her bed. I'm like, why is she wearing that outfit? Like this is weird. So like, yeah, I don't know.
And then Andrew, what was your second?
Well, I was gonna say it.
Only one.
I was gonna say it, but it'll come up in the scene by scene, and I'm just gonna save it for when we get to that point.
Okay.
So,
all right. So episode 1, Lost/Found, and we get like a opening like couple sentences on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
and there's already I felt like a continuity issue with the episode.
Jeez.
Because it says that there's been peace for centuries and no war. Well, were they not at war with the Nihil literally 100 years earlier? They literally controlled like half the galaxy, and no one could get in or out. And
Well, how long is a century?
well, it said centuries, plural.
Oh, there's an S at the end. Are we sure this is exactly 100 years before the books?
Yes, it's 100 years before episode 1. That's the canon thing. It's
Well, no, I know episode 1. I'm saying before.
Yes, because phases 1 and 3 is 200 years before episode 1.
Okay, well, maybe they just put a typo in there, so they put an S there.
So, like, are they not considering the conflict with the Nihil in the High Republic books as a war?
It definitely is. They controlled like half the galaxy.
So, like, that's just whatever. That's
I mean,
whatever.
if you define a war as like an overly prolonged series of battles and fighting, and because like they're not really at war. Like the Nihil there is tension, but they're not having tons of like open battles like they were in the Clone Wars. There's a difference. I'm not defending it per se, but I don't know if I would call what we're seeing in Eye of the Storm.
Did you read Eye of Darkness?
Or that's what I meant, Eye of Darkness.
You read that, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I would consider that war.
But it's definitely not peace.
No.
They said there's been peace for centuries without war. And I'm just like, okay.
Definitely not peace.
Unless like it's just a war is just considered more like
Clone Wars,
a species or a planet against another planet or against, I don't know.
Yeah,
because it's definitely a political war between
it makes me wonder,
the Republic and Jedi.
It really makes me wonder, like, I feel like they wouldn't have made that mistake knowingly.
No, especially with this High Republic stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've literally all been working and writing this side by side, essentially. Which is why I have hope for this, because they have been doing that stuff.
But I don't know. And then what should be noted, which is up for interpretation in this opening sentences, says that something along the lines that people have secretly learned how to use the Force, which it seems to imply like that wouldn't be a Sith, because if the Sith have been in continuation for the past 1,000 years, then it's like it wouldn't be worded that way. And so these are like a new sect of people that have learned to use the Force on their own.
Just dark Force users.
But I will say later on in the second episode, Queemeyer, however you say his name, he says there is no peace, which is part of the Sith.
I did catch that. I was like,
and I don't want to get too ahead, but the big, huge theory is that he's actually the master.
That honestly would be kind of sick.
I think, and there's when I rewatched that episode after I read that, like there's a lot of clues that will go into that he might actually.
I would love that.
I would actually think that's pretty cool if that is him, but we'll get into that later.
That's cool.
But I do like that it's like these people have trained themselves. Now, whatever they mean by that, it's whatever they mean. But it's like cool. It's like a separate.
So the Night Sisters came over from the neighborhood, from a different neighborhood. What if they came over and have started teaching people the dark side of the Force, like all those ways? That
we know there's a witch.
Yeah, but like, what if that's what it is? What if they're they know the Jedi are probably gonna not like this, and they're like, "Yo, let's hold a club meeting in the back of this restaurant, and we can
collab."
Yeah, film some TikToks.
All right, cool. So that's like the main things from the opening little thing. And then we're go on to planet Ueda. I forget how they pronounce it, Ueda or something like that. And it's just we see what we know is her name is May. She goes into this town looking for a Jedi. She goes into a little bar cantina thing, and what?
I wanted her to live longer.
Oh
yeah, that was my biggest.
That's like the first thing that I was really angry about was that and Master Indara is killed. Now, I do think we're gonna get some major flashbacks to what happened in Osha and May's childhood.
I also, there was a part of me that when it happened, I was like, dude, seriously, come on. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, actually,
it makes sense for the story.
It makes sense based on what was happening in the moment too, in my opinion.
Too.
So.
I agree with that. So like whatever. So she goes in, and Indira is sitting at a table with a bunch of people just chillaxing, as the kids would say, and
relaxing, all cool.
Yep.
Shooting some b-ball outside of the school.
And May goes up to the table.
You could say she was someone up to no good in Indara's neighborhood. I'm so sorry. Please continue.
I was gonna do that too.
You want to finish the whole song? Go
no,
right
I
ahead.
don't. I don't. Just keep going.
No, I'm just thinking of that whole song.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, that means you're not old like us.
Jeez. Yeah, that's
literally
kind of
like
wild.
30-some years old or more. But anyway, so she
It's
goes
all
up to the
Tom.
table, Master Indira, and she's like, attack me with all your strength.
Indira is Indira Stokes. It's Indara.
Whatever. Indara. Indara. And she's like, I don't have any qualm with you, my child, or whatever. And then she says something like, you're unarmed, like, we don't attack unarmed people. And then May is like, yes, you do. And she gets very angry.
What
and then
does that mean?
And then she kicks a chair from underneath someone, and she starts fighting these guys in this bar. And I don't know, it was kind of cool. And then
I like it.
Slowly, Indara.
We saw most of this already.
Yeah, this was like we saw it in theaters, like the edited down version. Because there's a lot of stuff in this scene that wasn't there. But yeah, so we saw it was cool seeing this, and slowly Indara is moving in, and then at one point she just grabs her arm, like she's not going to attack, but she's going to defend. And there's some hand-to-hand combat with knives, really cool. And what I really like though about these episodes was seeing how like effortlessly and seamlessly they could jump up and across things using the Force.
Yeah,
because like you look at episode 1, like when Obi-Wan falls down and he has to jump up. It's just like super like he's like shot of him raising his arms and then like they just move his body up. It looks weird.
And like you don't really run for 1 point now.
Or like you see just like some other like animated like jumping of like Anakin fighting Obi-Wan in the control room, like he jumps over the table a couple times. This looks weird and clunky.
Or like how Obi-Wan fell when he like met in episode 3 when he like jumped off the rafters or whatever, and he kind of just like showed him, and he's like, "Hello there."
Yeah,
it was like didn't feel like you actually saw him fall.
Yeah, so I really liked how like smooth the jump choreography was. Like it just,
I was like, I didn't like this at all, but the jumps though.
When she ran up the stairs, did anyone else think of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? Or
I was literally, dude, stop. I was literally waiting for Jeremiah to have a break to be like, the reason why I think this works so well is because they took some pages from the old Chinese like kung fu movie cinema stuff.
She's just like floating up the stairwell. I'm like, there's perfectly good stairs right there. You could have ran.
No, but it was faster.
It's cool.
Faster.
No, it's dope. I was just like the first thing I thought was like,
listen, if you use the Force, if you had the Force, and you're going to Mall of America, you can take the escalator like a normal person.
Or with Miles, you have to take the elevator and.
No, you just have the freaking. Oh yeah, well
that sucks.
You just put him in the little Yoda backpack. And you just jump up.
He's a little too big for that.
That boy's 37 pounds. You can Yoda backpack him all you want. Be my guest.
But yeah, so the fighting is really cool. Like the jumping is really cool. And then they're up on the top banister, or the girl is on the top banister first. She puts a knife to a random patron's neck. That's when Indara
random scared girl number 1.
Yep, that's what it said in the credits.
Really?
No.
Funny insane.
And so May throws her off the edge, and I really liked also how easily, like, she just caught her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just cool. Like, there's multiple scenes when they're using the Force. Like, it's just super powerful and controlled, and like, it's not like them reaching out their hand and like hoping like it was gonna
There's none of
happen.
that. There's no constipation
Two quick
involved.
things about this that I really like. And it's funny because like I feel like this episode's gonna recording this is gonna make me like it more. But I really do feel like the Jedi are in their prime,
Oh yeah,
more so than the prequels.
right.
You know, like I think there's some really powerful Force users in the prequels, and we see really cool moments of that, like freaking Obi-Wan versus Maul, and I mean that fight, seeing that in theaters was just. But you know, like they really do feel like the masters are masters, and like they really know how to use the Force. They really know how to fight. I think. And the second thing is like I know people were like, "Oh, Force food, it's so stupid." Okay, but like you have the Force and you do martial arts. What is it supposed to look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, suck it up. Like,
Well, also,
the
like, she
choreography
was
was
literally just defending herself.
yeah,
Like,
the
it's not like she
choreography
was
is
fighting
sick.
back.
Yeah, the choreography is sick. There's moments when freaking May in that first scene when she kicks she kicks one of the dudes and sends him to the freaking shadow realm through a wall. Like I
Yeah.
remember that happened, and I was like, I don't think he's.
When she
You know,
like
I don't care
kicked
what
the one
universe
dude
you're
down
from.
too. Yeah.
That's gotta hurt. You know what I'm saying? To quote my boy, my two-headed boy from the Phantom Menace. But like, I don't know. Like the later, we'll get to this. We'll
So stupid.
You didn't get that?
That's gotta hurt.
There it is. Okay. But like later, the scene with her and Soul, dude, so freaking cool. Like
I
some
really
of the
like
kicks,
when
some of the kicks that she does, I'm like, that was a waste of time because it wouldn't have even hit very hard if you'd done it anyways. But him like grabbing all the knives, like, and then that one shot where he floats in behind her, like, come on,
yeah, that was
dude.
cool.
I don't care what you say.
It was
Like,
better than the UFC fights over the weekend. I'll tell you that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But look, all I'm saying is like, for those of you who have a problem with this choreography, just ask yourself, what would a trained martial what would a trained martial artist look like if they could use the Force? If they had precognition and they could just put some force behind a kick or something and blow someone through the wall. Like, I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I also think there's a line in this too that kind of helps with that. Is like they literally said like if you turn on your lightsaber, you're tended
It's like the samurai. You draw your sword.
You draw your sword.
Yeah.
The whole point of that is you're gonna kill me. It's not for defense. Later on, throughout the Star Wars or whatever, I feel like it becomes more of like a defensive weapon.
I mean, they're just like
and like it's but in this is like if you're taking out your lightsaber, it's like
yeah,
all right, someone's gonna die right now.
And
like,
I will
that's
also
what it's
say
for.
her using the knives is genius. It's genius against the Jedi. It's very smart. Now, a normal person using those, stupid as heck. But a Force user who's been somewhat trained using those knives against a Jedi, I think is very smart.
Why?
Because, well, it's difficult for anyone other than like a master. And we see this with Indara. Like, she does a really good job of defending herself against those. But like on average, it's a difficult weapon to defend yourself against because a lot of times you don't see it until it's left the person's hand. Like it's easy. It's really easy to see when you're watching a show and you're you've got that third person perspective of like, oh, there's a camera angle where it shows her like it's like sliding down into her hand. Like obviously we see that, but the person she's fighting won't. And half the time, like that's one of the reasons why the ninja and the samurai even they use shuriken. Like it wasn't like this like Naruto, they're throwing them from like 100 yards away and stuff. Like they would literally hold them until they were right on you, and all of a sudden you would see their hand blur and you're stabbed. And it's like it's really effective, and I think it's a perfect weapon to use against a Jedi because it's small, it's hard to track, it's not energy based, so it doesn't give off any light, and it's not also not energy based, so I think it's more difficult to return from if you're hurt.
Yeah, I think for Jeremiah perspective, and like some like if you're going back to like this didn't feel like Star Wars, like that weapon it kind of didn't really feel like Star Wars for me, like the knives. If they were vibroblades, I probably would have had no even like thought like, oh,
Well,
those are Star Wars weapons.
it's interesting. Oh, excuse me. It's interesting though because like in the EU, I'm used to the Mandalorians using slug thrower rifles. They use literal projectile rifles against the Jedi because it was so much harder for the Jedi to combat versus lasers. So
Well,
like
and you
to
do
me,
see
like I'm like
the
that
Sand
makes
people use actual like non.
sure. But it's for
Well,
me, it's like that makes a lot of sense. If you're going to try to take down Jedi, use something that gives you the advantage. And like she knows she'd be at a disadvantage with a lightsaber. I mean, also she's got to do the whole kill him without, a conventional
That's
weapon thing.
that's what I was gonna say. It's she can't be used to using a
Yeah.
good weapon. She has to
Yeah.
like pretend purposely go in
mhm.
weak, which a knife versus a lightsaber is like night and day difference.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense for like you don't want her to be dependent on a blaster or a
Yeah.
lightsaber.
Yeah.
Which how do you kill a Jedi without a weapon? We have yet to see what that actually looks like, but
Yeah.
it's interesting.
So, but it's also it also allows her to take advantage of the people in the setting as we see. I mean, that's like literally how Indara dies. Spoiler alert! If you needed that at this point, we're like way into it, but like that weapon allows her to divide Indara's concentration. So all I'm saying is like I very much respect the fact that they chose that as her mode of fighting because I could see it like I think had she this might be a hot take had she been trying to kill Yord, I think you would have gone down a lot faster.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm sorry, but you really did hit the nail on the head when you said this might be a 4-hour episode. So,
Yep.
please continue.
So May she's down to Indira sees that she has one blade left, but she actually has two. She has one in her other hand that slipped out behind the back.
Surprise.
And the bar owner knocks a pan over or something down below. They both look.
What an idiot.
And when I saw Indira look, Indara look, like I knew, okay, now this distraction was gonna not be good. So May's idea is I'm going to distract her by throwing the blade at the bar owner, and when she goes to stop the blade, catch it with the force, she throws a knife and kills her, which was a complete shock to me because this actress was hyped up as she's
on everything
more than everybody else except for the main lead May and Osha's actress.
Well, she is kind of famous.
Yeah, but I felt like did they just do that to get people to watch the show? Like we're gonna put her in now. Like I said,
Trinity, dude. I mean, like,
but like
Matrix.
now, like I said, I do think we're gonna get flashbacks to what happened on her, whatever that planet's name is.
I will say, if any eagle-eyed people would have known she was going to die in this scene going into it, if you watched the trailers, you would have known.
That's because she's not in anything else.
No, because they show all the scenes of them fighting in this setting, and there's a scene in the trailer where it's May walking away. It's that low shot of her walking away with Indara's lightsaber on the floor without Indara's hand around it. And she's walking away in that shot, and the setting is the exact same. You can see it's that same like upper level thing.
I don't remember seeing a lightsaber on the.
I saw that.
If you watch the trailer, you can see like that angle of the lightsaber falling.
Because I saw some of the sneak preview fight stuff, and then I saw that trailer and I went, "Oh, she's gonna die."
I didn't even. Why didn't we? I don't remember you talking about that when we did trailer breakdowns.
We didn't talk about it. We just because of. Let me make
but we literally do frame by frame. Like look at every little.
No, it's in. I promise you, it's in one of the trailers.
I don't know if it's in the original.
Because I remember it's in one of those like sneak peek things that they released. Because I remember going, "Oh, so she's gonna die."
4,000 sneak peeks that we got.
Yeah, because like her lightsaber's on the floor. May is walking away, and it's the one where she's walking away and she pulls the two knives up to her hands in the force. And so they gave that away,
Okay.
which I don't know if I would have done. But, you know.
There's a lot of... The best thing about Star Wars is when they don't tell anything in a trailer. That's what I want from a trailer. But anyway, moving on. So Indira, she falls down. Or
Indara.
Gosh dang it. Ever since you brought that up, now I'm like even more conscious, like saying it wrong. Indara, she flops over and she's dead.
It's the most ungraceful way to describe her death. She just flops over.
Basically. And then May walks away. And title screen. Blah, blah, blah. And then we jump onto a ship. And what they want you to think, what?
Keep going.
What they want you to think is, oh, May went back to where she's living a double life, and this is where she's hiding out, doing this thing. So we think this is May, and she wakes up. She's in her 21st century modern pajamas, and she gets up and starts talking to Pip, her droid, and a little alert flash goes off, and she is needed for whatever she's on that ship for. And we learn that she is a mech neck, which means that she goes outside the ship in space gear and repairs ships like astromechs normally do that we see. And so whenever there's like an OSHA violation, she goes in and she fixes it. OSHA violation.
Yep, that's good. That was really good.
Oh, come on.
That was good. Good
Literally,
job.
her job is to fix OSHA.
Yeah, I mean, like, neither of you laughed at my joke, so, you know.
All right.
At least my joke had soul.
So they're on a Trade Federation ship. We got our...
Yo. Nemoidians look so good.
Dude, that is true. They look good.
They look so
There's
good.
There's your alien Jeremiah.
Yeah, literally.
Oh yeah.
They were on camera talking. I was like, I literally looked at McKay. I was like, yo, they look so good. And she goes, they really do. Like
when they all CG faces, right? They weren't practical.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of that was practical.
Was it?
I don't know. I mean, I only watched it once. I'll go back and watch it. But I mean, I freaking either way, it looked
good. When they showed the first one and then he started talking, I was like to Tanner, I was like, no, there is two of them.
Oh gosh.
He said that's legal. I will make it legal.
So
anyways.
OSHA is out there fixing like the shield generators or whatever it was that they're fixing.
Yeah.
And as she's fixing it, some levels of something start to surge and it blows up and a little fire starts happening. She goes over to put it out. And
okay,
she has
in space. Come on.
Facts.
Okay, it's different. The shield is around the ship, so there's a little bit of...
Oh, so you have an explanation for that, but not the rest of the show?
There are things that burn differently in space that actually would show a flame, I think, as the actual thing.
Well, I was gonna say, don't we see like ships blow up all the time?
I love how he was like, the ships look CG, blah blah blah, but he'll defend the flame in space based on physics.
Because facts don't care about our feelings. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Anyway,
so anyway, she goes to go put it out, and she has a PTSD flashback of screaming and stuff. Like, okay, something went down with the fire in her past. That's the mystery. Like, what's her backstory?
Yeah.
And so then she snaps out of it.
But you hear echoes and...
Yep. So she snaps out of it, and she uses Pip, which can do anything, apparently. Puts out the fire.
Dude, true.
Oh, my bad.
Right in the mic, man.
Puts out the fire, and as that's happening, a Jedi Vector flies by.
I thought that was really cool to see.
Yep. And
you did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing.
And then the Nemoidians are like, Jedi, what are they doing here? Type of thing. Like, okay. And so
was it foretelling of the future?
Yes. Yep. So then we see Yord and his Padawan Tassi aboard the ship, and
just wanted to punch her in her face.
Why?
I liked her.
She was so smug.
And
She was
Yord
unnecessarily,
wasn't?
huh?
And Yord wasn't?
York bothers me way more than her Padawan. And I like the alien species looks kind of cool.
Yeah, but like
It kind of also looks Star Trek-y, but I don't want to go down.
Yeah, but like
road.
there's a part of me that's like I expect it from an adult, but don't a child comes in. A child comes in and start talking to me like that. No.
No, because what do we see with Padawans all the time? They're always by the book, following the rules.
Yeah,
like they haven't.
That's what makes it annoying.
Right, but that's why it makes sense.
That's something Ahsoka would act like that too.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying it was annoying as heck.
And also, we don't know how old she is.
That you would expect that from an adult, and I was like, no, I wouldn't expect that from an adult. I'd expect that from a child.
Well, I mean, I would expect it from both of them.
Kids
overly
can be very much
overly big-headed Jedi Knights, but
also that Jedi could be like 200 years old because we don't know. How old
we don't know.
She needs some manners. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying she's
been bullied her whole life. Okay,
her Q-tips are like the size of basketballs. I can tell you that.
There you go.
That moment where she was like interrogating her in the room. I was like, oh my, just shut up.
Okay, well,
but she's playing a cop, an investigator. It makes sense.
It makes sense.
And because her master has already had an interaction with this person in the past, she was coming in with a non-biased view. So that's why it didn't bother me, because it made sense. It's like, well, York can't be investigating that same way because they're friends. Like their first interaction, she punched him in the chest, like joking around.
A good cop, bad cop vibe.
Yeah,
that's what you need
a good cop, rude cop. That's what. Jeez.
All right.
Well, anyways,
so Yor talks to the Nemodian leader. Hey, there's a former Jedi on here that we need to talk to, and there's no one on. This is a cargo ship, and he's about to do a Jedi mind trick, and then the female
bold,
Nemodian,
by the way. Huh? That didn't seem very Jedi. Oh, they're not being cooperative?
That's the only time you use a Jedi mind trick is when they're not being cooperative.
I know. He seemed a little too quick.
Because there's someone who thinks there's a Jedi murderer on board and he needs to figure it out. They can't sit down and play a game of Sabacc and
And a Jedi died. That's a big deal.
And so as he's about to do the Jedi mind trick, the female Nemodian, which is this the first female Nemodian we've ever seen?
In live action for sure. I don't know. I can't remember if there were any in Clone Wars. Probably not. But
so she's like, she's in whatever level, whatever room, and she's like, I'm not messing with the Jedi. I just want to get this done with. So the next scene we see Osha go to. Because she gets called Oshi later on in the show. I did not.
This man literally, it was so bad he didn't remember any of their names.
He did not like her as.
That's literally her name, though. She's called Oshi in episode 2.
I know.
So I did not say the wrong name. I just said the wrong iteration of the name. Osha goes back to her room, and Yord is sitting on her bed. And did you find it weird, like when he stood up, like his cape was like on the thing, and then like he like pulled it. It was just looked weird to me, like.
No, and ironically, that made more sense than his Padawan did.
Oh, okay. And so they just start talking, like, "Hey, look at you! It's good to see you, old buddy pal, whatever." And punches him like, "I didn't think that you were gonna ever make it to Jedi Knight." It's like, whatever. And he's like, "Yep, I passed 2 years ago." Blah blah blah. And she goes to take Pip off her hip. I did not mean to rhyme like that.
Nice.
But
Jeremiah bars.
But right when she does that, he puts his hand on his saber, and then it's super intense. Like, she's like, "What's going on here?" And then the Padawan comes in and is like,
she walks in sideways
through
the doorway.
That smug expression on her face.
She couldn't fit through the doorway.
Just think of like if she was a Mandalorian, like the kind of helmet that they would need for her, like
it would be a frying pan.
It'd be like Grogu. They're gonna have to cut holes in the side of it.
It would be in the shape of like a.
She has a freaking crock pot she puts on her head.
What's that cartoon? The football head.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah, it'd be like. We're so
Anyways,
bad. Like,
anyway, so she's like, there was a Jedi that was murdered, and there's a description that's just like you, and we're here to arrest you for the murder of Master Indara.
Yep. Nice. Nailed it.
And she's like, no, I was here the whole time. You got the wrong person. Blah blah blah. And then the bar owner comes in. It was her. It was her. She's the person that killed the Jedi and destroyed my bar. Like, he was more worried about his bar than justice for the murdered victim. And it was just basically,
it's kind of funny that they literally brought him.
well,
Like, how far? Like, it's got to
they-
be pretty far, right?
because she did say that where she was in the outer rim was as far away from Coruscant as you can get. So it's pretty far out there. And they arrest her and they put her on a prisoner transport to Coruscant. Okay, cool.
Cool ship design, I might add. I like that ship design a lot.
And so, moving on, trying to go fast because we're gonna if we don't
We're
go
an
fast.
hour and 20 minutes into this almost.
Yep. So we finally get to Coruscant, and it looks different.
Yo, it looks great.
It looks like it's more
Fresh and clean, and
more like brown than it is gray.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
pollution.
Yo, it looks so good.
100 years of less pollution.
They showed the Jedi Temple, and then the title thing came on, and it was like Coruscant. I was like, you didn't need to do that, but I respect it. But like,
There are people that this is the first Star Wars.
I
they're ever gonna
know.
watch,
It's like it's like the equivalent of like R2D2 coming on screen is like R2D2, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, that shot of that Jedi Temple was beautiful to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked it.
And so we go into the Jedi Temple and we get Master Soul teaching some younglings. And this is like the opening scene from the trailer that we get, first trailer that we got. Kind of just talking about, close your eyes, what do you see? And he talks about the ocean. So it's kind of like very reminiscent of Elzar Mann and his views of the Force.
Man.
Yep. And so he's that's kind of like, what do you see? And people are just listening off. I see life, I see balance. And then one girl says fire.
Yeah, it's just an Ed Sheeran song.
And it's like we hear fire and we think, oh, fire's bad. And so it's like
Stupid.
But he did a song called I See Fire for The Hobbit.
I know, but like,
anyways. Jeremiah's so done with us, dude.
And so the girl says fire, and he pauses. Like,
Did you catch that?
that he paused.
Yeah, he there's a moment in his face where he's like, "Oh, that's not good." But then he's like, "Yeah, the Force is all consuming." Like he totally does that thing where it's like, "Yeah, you don't have to be worried." But you could tell that he was like, that's
right.
not."
But I don't think it was because that association with the Force as fire was being bad. I think he remembers the fire from his experience.
He was also
finding
getting
May and Osha.
I don't think so.
I
I think
think
he sensed
the way
something
I
was.
took
I think
it.
he sensed it as foreshadowing.
I think they want you to think that, but I think when you associate
It's just better. It's better if he think about it. If he's more like a Qui-Gon person, right? And he has this bigger view of what's happening, and he can see things like beginning to deteriorate. Maybe he senses something is coming, but he hasn't put his finger on it yet. And then a youngling says that, and he's like, "Ooh, that's not good." And then he pauses for a moment, and then to make sure she's not afraid, he's like, "Oh, it's just an all-consuming fire." Blah 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 blah. But like, that's foreshadowing of the Sith.
I didn't really see it as.
I mean, but think about it. This is the emergence of the Sith in Star Wars canon, and then
maybe
all of it.
Maybe.
Okay, well, fine, whatever.
I
All
just
I'm saying
don't
is-
want to be like those people that just automatically say it's a Sith because they don't know what a Sith is. Like, we've talked about this before. Like, not all dark side users are Sith. So like until it's confirmed.
My question is, if this is not related to a Sith Lord, I'm going to make a bold statement here. All right?
Mhm.
I'm going to make a very bold statement. If this is not related to the true line of the Sith, this is a waste of storytelling.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. If it's just some dark Jedi and it doesn't have any implications of the rise of the Sith, why are we here?
Okay. My main theory is that through this vein of Dark Force users, so one of those people one of these Dark Force users that we're going to see in the show, because there's going to be multiple seasons to the show, that's been stated.
Sure.
That one of those people are going to become a Sith apprentice to the Sith line. It's going to get grafted into the Sith story.
Well, that's fine. Like if it eventually becomes part of the Sith,
yeah,
great. But I'm just saying, like, why name the show The Acolyte? Why have this mysterious Dark Force user in the background if it's not going to culminate into that? Like, I don't want this to just be a Dark Jedi and that's the end of it. Like, I need to see.
But then it's not canon, because then literally they say in episode 1 that the Sith haven't been around for a millennia.
Well, that's what they think. That's what the Jedi think.
Yeah, there's never been a stop to the Sith.
Yeah, they've always been in hiding.
True, but wouldn't these Jedi know this if they interact?
That's
with
why
them?
they're all going to die.
I hope you're wrong about that.
I think all the Jedi that we see are going to die at the hands of whoever these people are.
And I think it's going to be the last. That's going to be the last thing in the season.
I want Solo to be in the show forever.
Mm-mm.
No,
he's such a good actor.
He is a good actor, but he's got Squid Game 2 to worry about. So,
well, I think they're done with that. But okay.
Yeah, all I'm saying is like and Star Wars desperately needs to see the Bane line of Sith in this in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be Plagueis. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to see. No. I
want to see Plagueis.
It doesn't have to be Plagueis. But like the thing about it is, I know this isn't canon, but in Plagueis, there is a unifying plan, right? That is passed down at a certain point through the Bane line, where they plan to emerge from the shadows and overthrow the Republic, and it takes generations and generations of Sith to build up a network of people to like build this plan out to gather all the resources, and it's passed from master to apprentice, and it finally culminates with Plagueis bringing in Palpatine because he senses how powerful he is in the Force, and then obviously Palpatine does all this stuff, and the Jedi fall. Like, I need to see that intentionality in this show,
and I think we're going to
even if it's just a reference, even if it's just like a passing, like, just give me something. Like, if this is not like fine, if the guy in the mask isn't a Sith, fine, but like at some point, if they don't show us the true Sith, this is just a side quest to the main Skywalker saga at this point. Like, is it impactful because this is the first time Jedi are being targeted this way in the High Republic? Yeah. But like in the grand scheme of things, like I need something that is going to change the way, or either that or accentuate the way that we see the Sith in the main story.
I don't think we disagree with you. I'm just saying, until we get confirmed that this is a Sith or whatever, we're not gonna like refer to him as like a definitive.
Well,
Sith.
He's not a Sith in my book until I know for sure.
I'm just well, and of course, like how does he learn how to build a lightsaber? Because you have to bleed the lightsaber.
Well, yeah, but if you're just that evil, like you can corrupt it yourself, right, and bleed it.
Yeah,
because is that saying that everyone that has a red lightsaber is a Sith?
No, because there's been red lights. Well, not anymore, but anyways, there have been other red lightsabers on the Jedi Council. Adi Gallia had one, or Stas Ali, I can't remember, but in Jedi Power Battles, they had one. But all I'm saying is like if the main bad guy is a redirection, fine, but like make the Asian guy the actual true Sith Lord behind the scenes the whole time. Like, at least let there be someone
such a cool concept if
orchestrating stuff. Like if the guy, the red lightsaber dude, is not going to be the Sith Lord, or is not at least a Sith apprentice looking for his own apprentice on the side from his training. Like, I don't know. I don't want them to flop that.
I think they said that they want the show to be 3 seasons. And so, like, I don't think we're going to get that confirmation to Sith this season. It might not be till... So he has to play the long game. So, like...
Well, and I'm fine. I'm fine playing the long game as long as it pays off.
Right.
Like, I'm all for... I mean, that's what we get in the Thrawn trilogies. Like, it really does a good job of building up this cohesive story, even though they haven't freaking done anything with the Chiss. And
it's coming. It's coming. Just take it. It's gonna be here in the next few years. It's gonna come. You just gotta be patient, young Padawan.
Anyways.
So yes, the girl sees fire.
Good Lord, this is gonna be.
Look,
horrible.
this is what people are here for. Okay,
Yep.
I mean,
you know.
most view episodes are the ones that are the longest with Andrew. So
Yep. And basically, he's like, yes, the force is powerful like fire, but we got to respect that power. Like, we can't just take it for granted. Like, it's a powerful thing. And as he's having this lesson, Vernestra Rowe uses the force to open the door because she doesn't want to push the button. And so she walks in. And he's like, all right, kids, time for lunch. Go. I got to talk to Master Rowe here.
Did you see the two babysitters they had in the background?
I did see the two people they had like brown robes on. Like, it looked a little bit different, but they're like definitely.
Andrew, did you notice that one kid literally couldn't physically close his eyes?
Yeah. We were talking about that in the trailer breakdown.
Yeah.
Like, how does he close? Does he have to like focus on like a little spot on the floor? Like,
literally doesn't have lids to close. Close your eyes. I promise. Yeah, exactly.
So Vanessa Rowe comes in and says, we have a lead. Like, I know you were good friends with Indira, and we have a lead. It is your former Padawan, Osha, and she's been arrested.
By the way, did we ever figure out why her hair's gone? Like, did she just like cut all her hair off?
When people get old, they lose their hair a lot.
Yeah, but she's still pretty spry for her species.
She want to get tattoos.
The only thing I'm asking is, like, I haven't. So Vernestra Rowe is like more of a character in some of the side novels for the High Republic, and so like I didn't know if I missed something. Like,
no, because in those books she's only like 15, 16 years old.
She's a prodigy.
She is youngest ever to become a knighted Jedi. And if you want to know more about Vanessa Rowe, go watch our episode from a couple weeks ago, Who is Vanessa Rowe, where Grace goes over top 10 moments and highlights from Vanessa Rowe's life as a Padawan.
And cosplayed in that as her.
Yep. So go check that out. So Soul is obviously, he doesn't believe.
He's dismayed
that Osha would do such a thing. And he's like, she was a devoted Padawan. Like, she would not murder Indira. And
she had no soul for that.
Indara.
Did I say it wrong again?
Yeah.
Gosh dang it. So he's like, whatever. I don't believe it, but I can go support you. Whatever you do, I won't like interfere, whatever. And then it jumps to the prisoner transport. And what did you think about this whole scene? It just felt weird to me.
So either they're trying to make a point that the Republic is so sure of itself that it does a terrible job of detaining prisoners, or the Republic just does a terrible job of like the guy with the freaking the head tentacle. Like, you should know.
That's so cool.
Oh, we got a head
bucket
tentacle
over
guy.
his head or something.
Yeah, you've got a head tentacle guy on board. Like, I don't know, strap his head down. I don't know. Like, when he did that, I was like,
his head down.
I think that's something you should know.
Like, what's that Pokemon? The tongue.
Who's that Pokemon? Huh?
Lick a tongue.
Lick a tongue?
Yeah. Or like Tentacruel or something. Yeah. It's like if you, I don't know, maybe they were so big headed that they were just like, they're not good.
Also, like, they didn't have any real people on board. So like,
yeah. Well, but then it's like, okay, you've got to. It's like you look at him in a lineup and you're like, okay, this guy looks like he can hack into a system remotely. This guy's got tentacles that could be a problem. Like, you know, but no, they've got the one human bloodthirsty murderer with the parasite, and he's like literally the least dangerous one in the whole freaking.
True. And then on top of that,
the seat pilots are cool.
Yeah, those were actually. I thought it was pretty cool. But like on top of that, it's like you're putting someone who is force a former Jedi on this thing, and also why do they need escape pods if they are only holding prisoners? Everyone else are robots.
Well, just because they don't want to, like, prisoners still deserve
But how
life.
would they get out? They can't get out.
I quite frankly, I think the
Well, if the
mistake
ship
was
is
not
going down,
having.
the droids would have.
Do we know that?
We don't know anything. I'm just saying that the droids could open it and let them escape. Like, that's
True.
my point. Like, they're not
All
helpless.
I'm saying is that they should have Yord and Snippy Girl should have taken her in instead.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like
saying.
if
Like,
you suspected this girl of being powerful enough to kill
kill
a Jedi Master,
you should be able to just take her with you,
yeah,
especially if
that's-
she was also your friend.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what I'm saying. It's like you bring in the big guns for Force users.
Uh-huh.
You know, obviously the tentacle
But
forehead guy
to
was
that
a
point
problem
too,
enough.
though, Andrew, is Yord is playing it by the book, and that's
That
what
is
you
true,
do
and he
with
doesn't
prisoners.
he doesn't
You
he doesn't
don't
improvise.
you don't you're not actually like thinking. You're just doing exactly what you're told to do.
Yeah,
When like you're not actually being a Jedi, essentially you're being a rule follower.
yeah. He didn't
So it
seem
kind
to.
of makes sense.
It seems like he wasn't really alert to what was going on. Like
Seems
I mean,
like he
like,
was reading a manual. Like, this is what
but
we do
like
with all
he
prisoners.
didn't seem very alert to what was actually happening. And like I feel that way sometimes, but normally when I feel that way, you know, sometimes I need a pick me up, and a pick me up works really well.
True,
And
especially coffee.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think if he had some coffee, he would have been like, oh yeah, we should maybe do this differently. So all I'm saying is that a good cup of coffee at the right time could really
Or tea.
could save your day. So I don't know if that's relevant to anyone here.
Jeremiah.
Well, it would have been more relevant between episode breakdowns. But anyway, we'll do it anyway. Coincidentally, once again, our sponsor for today is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. So if you need a pick-me-up and you're worried about, you know, prisoner transports and how you're going to do it properly, listen to this commercial and get a great discount on some coffee.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code Empire Radio, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
You can't tell me that wasn't good.
It
was so good you didn't even realize it was there until it was right in your face like a
No,
knife from May's hand into
It
Indara's.
took you 2 minutes to set it up, and 30 seconds in, I was like, I see what he's doing.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, so the prisoner's like, we're gonna do a prison break, and
Are you in?
she's like,
You
no,
wanna do it?
I have faith in the Jedi, and like you killed a Jedi, so
Nerd.
nerd. And so then this like weird like cyborg guy hacks into
Did he have legs?
Yeah.
Because
I
he
think
didn't have
was
arms.
I think he was just a head.
No, I think he was he had a torso, but I think he was like rolling on a ball or something, like some treads. Yeah. I mean, I've only watched it once, but
How did I not notice that?
Either way, he's somehow was able to hack in.
he reminded me of Hrothgar Ding, who people thought was Dingar in the sequel trilogy.
Oh,
You remember him? You'd remember him if you saw him. He's kind of nightmare fuel. But anyways,
But anyways, he hacks into the system and just turns
remotely.
off. Yeah, he just turns off
Why did they leave him on?
because they didn't know that he could do that. Apparently,
I guess so.
And so the droids that are flying the ship, when they get deactivated, they just fold back into a chair for a person to sit down on, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
But so then the warden droid is like, "Uh-oh, something's not going on. This is bad." And starts going up to the prisoners, and the tentacle guy goes and like rips off his head, goes through the cage things and rips off the head, and then
Talk about a
rips
headache.
rips off the arm and uses that to like open the door, which is weird that if the arm loses power from this thing, like it still works. I don't know. Kind of didn't make sense to me, but maybe it has fingerprints that they put on it just to scan. I don't know. So they open up.
It's just an RFID chip.
Yep, they run to one of the escape pods, and OSHA's like, "All right, let me out." And she's like, "Give me a hand here," and he waves the hand. Oh, I got a hand here, and throws it away.
I appreciated that. I really do.
And I was like, okay, whatever. So then they all escape. They like literally, there's like 10 of them, and they all cram into one thing. Like,
It's comical. It's pretty comical.
good job, guys. And so then she's stuck in there in her cell, and then, because this ship exits hyperspace and starts hitting asteroids that are around this planet. So it's getting jostled around, and so one of the cubby holes opens up, and Pip flies out, and he's rolling around on the ground, and so she's like, all right, I'm going to use the Force to grab him. And nope, nothing happens. And then the ship shifts again, and it just rolls to
You know what's wild to me?
The Thornberries.
Oh, that's a deep cut. Jeez.
Wow.
No, I'm gonna be salty again, and you're gonna roll your eyes. You ready?
Yeah.
How
Nice.
come
All right.
Sabine could just do what she did in Ahsoka, but OSHA couldn't do that after being trained for many years?
Because
She
Sabine
turned-
had an attachment that made her more powerful, just like Luke was attached to Leia, and then when she was threatened by Vader, he turned it up a notch because of the attachment.
Boom, roasted.
All right, that's fine.
So yes, so then she like rips off its head or something, or just detaches the head, and it turns into like a little like shock tool thing, and she just opens up the thing super easily. She starts running to this escape pod, and then Crazy Boy laying on the ground with the parasite on his mouth to subdue him. She's like, all right, I can't leave him. I'm gonna save him. So she shocks the thing off, and he's like starts screaming and yelling and runs to this escape pod before she can get in, and he escapes. And then she straps herself into a chair and hopes for the best.
Every time I get on an airline flight nowadays.
Just watch. Don't sit by the door. You might not
Yeah.
be there.
I saw a report this morning. They were talking about planes that almost collided on the runway last year. And they were like, yeah, this actually happens a lot more than people realize. There was like 4 other incidents in the last year or 2. And I'm like,
No, that makes me
they
feel
just
better.
almost like run into each other on the runway. Like how?
But there's
Stop.
literally hundreds of thousands of flights every year that are fine. So it's like, the
Yeah, well,
chances are
apparently
so
every
small.
time I go to San Francisco for work, mine aren't fine because not one of them has not been delayed significantly.
Well, that's different than
That's a California problem.
sure.
The
crashing
traffic
on
is
a
delayed
tarmac.
too.
But yeah, so we go back to Coruscant, back into the Jedi Temple, and Jackie comes in and sees Master Soul with a hollow of Osha. And Jackie is like about to ask a question, and she stops herself and says, "Permission to speak freely." And he's like, "Yes, go ahead." And she asks, like, "Why do you have hollows of your old Padawan? Because of attachment issues?" And he's like, "Well," basically he says, like, because memories, we need to learn lessons from the memories or whatever, so we don't repeat them. She says, so we don't repeat them. She's like, it makes sense, Master. You got me. That was basically what it was. And so Jackie comes in to tell him that prisoners from the prisoner ship are down in the center or whatever, and so the Jedi Temple has a
I was gonna say it was interesting to see.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. Did they have that in the Clone Wars? Like when it's like when they like the Ahsoka episodes, like where she's framed for murder. Like, did they have that section in the Jedi, or they brought people for questioning and stuff?
Probably.
I can't remember, but that's interesting. They have that. So they go down there, and all the prisoners are like, "It was the Jedi's killer idea that she did this." That's that's kind of funny. And so he's talking with Vernestra, and he goes and talks to the crazy guy that's in the cell all by himself. So right when he walks in, like he's freaking out, and boom, quick Jedi mind trick.
That's
like,
the first time you're like, oh, this guy is hot stuff. He knows what he's doing.
Like, because it just seems like in all the other instances we see, it's always like really slow. Like, I gotta make sure I do this right, perfect motion, perfect form, and Soul is just like, calm your mind.
Yeah,
I got something to ask you.
Chill, dude.
And the guy was like, she saved my life, but I betrayed her. Like, I feel bad about this.
I feel like he should have turned around and been like, to Vernestra, like.
But Vernestra was like, that's not enough to mean that she's, which is still true.
Yeah. But she, and I think they wrote her this way. She's the embodiment of what the Jedi are becoming.
So do we think that she's on the Jedi Council?
If she's not, she carries a lot of weight
because
in the temple. Because she's like, I need you here. You're like too valuable here.
I think she is.
Because like when later on when Yord is like disagreeing with Soul is like, the Jedi agree with me. Like, does that mean the Council? Is that in reference to like the Jedi are in agreement with me? Meaning
that's
the Council?
the way I took it.
Meaning then that Vernestra is on the Council. I think maybe.
That's what I would assume. Because she seems pretty high up. She was one asking him to do a mission, two accepting for him to actually go out. Like she's pulling all the shots. Like she's in charge. So it seems like she is on the council. And then later on, he has to come back, and he was forced to come back. Not that he wanted to, and she was the one like, no, we have to do this properly. You need to come back. So, like, I assume she's on the council. Do they call it the council back then? I think so, yeah, because they did in the High Republic books.
I was going to say they do in the books.
So, yeah, I think, which is why I think later on we might see Yoda, because we might get, like, a council scene through her perspective, or him addressing the council, what's going on in the next episode really cool. Or something.
I just wonder,
maybe we'll see Jarl Poof. Old Q-tip man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or Yaddle.
Love that guy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Possible.
Well, she might not be on the council at that point. But there's multiple people during Clone Wars that were on the council in the High Republic era too. So during the books, and that's even later. So, or further back. So yes. So Osha was not found, and so Soul was like, she's still alive. I believe she's alive. I can feel it. And he's like, send me. This is my responsibility. Let me be accountable for my failure to train her. Let me go. And Vernestra is like, all right, you can go, but with a small team, keep it discreet type of thing. And then we go back to Osha, who is waking up from a crashed ship on a snow planet, and she gets up and she's just kind of walking around, looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. She hears something. She looks over, and then
that was creepy.
Camera pans a little bit, and then there's a person standing in the doorway. And so they kind of want you to think that May is the one initiating this vision.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's May. I think it's
I don't either.
The Master, the Dark Master.
Which I think is very cool.
Because the silhouette in the door looked very similar to the silhouette we see at the end of the episode when he's standing on the rocky ledge.
That's
Like,
my
it's
qualm, by the way. That's where my quip qualm thing is.
the end.
Yeah, that scene of
Okay.
him.
Okay,
We'll get there. Yeah,
Um,
about another 4 hours.
and so she starts following after this girl, and it. I'm gonna go jump because there's one scene that back in Coruscant between the two scenes. I'm just gonna finish the scene. So she goes chases after the girl through the snow, and then the girl turns around. Looks very similar to her if she was 16 years younger. If you do your Star Wars math, because I love my Star Wars math, and
That's a t-shirt idea.
yep. And so the girl was like, I forget what she says, but because she has like these like rhymes or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the rhyme they used to do when they were twins.
Like
Together.
I am me, you and you are you, we are us, together.
and one's like
That's a
always
Beatles song.
always bound together but born apart or born separate or something like that.
Yeah,
Like some weird stuff.
sister from
And-
another mister.
Yep.
It rhymed. I mean, all of it rhymed. So
and so it's just kind of like, May, is that you? And it's like, yeah, did you kill Master Indira? And she's like, yes, I did, and I'm gonna kill all of them. And her eyes turn black, and then like it turns into like a forest, and there's like a fire from
almost
where
like a forest fire.
forest fire. Yep, that's what they're called. And
Yeah.
then she wakes up in the ship where she crashed. I'm like, okay,
I thought that was really cool that they just reset her.
yep.
Mhm.
It also
Factory
makes me
reset.
wonder if his plan, if he is just using May to
Oh, yeah.
actually get to Osha because Osha's more powerful.
Well,
Ooh.
that might be true, but I also think it has to do with them together bringing balance. Like because like both these episodes, they're a word / another word. So every
Mhm.
episode this season is gonna be like that. And I feel like the last episode is just gonna be balance with no double words. Like I think he needs both of them together, especially on these rhyme things like you or me or you, whatever it was. Like
Yeah.
I think he needs both of them, but it's definitely is definitely using May to find her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she wakes up, and so the scene that was in the middle of this was Sol and
Oh,
Jackie.
your favorite scene.
Yep, leaving for this mission, and Jackie's like, "Who'd you bring her? Is it Yord?" And he's like, "What's wrong with Yord?" And Yord is Yord. And I'm like, "Okay, what does that exactly mean?" And they walk into the ship, and he's steaming his shirt with his Jedi physique. I guess
He's pretty cut. I'm not gonna lie.
He goes to that Jedi gym for sure.
Yep. And so, do you think because when you build muscle, like lifting weights, like you tear muscle tissue and then it heals and it gets bigger muscles. Like, do you think that Jedi could just like use the Force to like separate muscle tissue, like, and then
don't
Their
think that
gym
they-
is going like this. Just like
I don't think it would. I don't think they would though. That would be a pretty frivolous use of the Force.
maybe
Yours might though.
But the thing is, like,
Jordan
how do you?
wouldn't though because he is super by the book.
That's true.
But it's kind of lame. Like, you Jedi can like lift stuff with the Force, but like you have to like lift weights like normal. Like, it would just be kind of lame.
Well, it's
Work
probably
your
not
mind,
like
you
normal.
Work your
though.
body.
You see
Yeah.
you see Yoda like benching like the biggest thing in like the whole gym, and everyone's impressed, but he's
gosh.
just like using the
Well,
Force.
it's like the episode 2 when Yoda walks in with the cane and he throws it and takes off his robe and it starts flipping like crazy. I'm like, bro, you can't walk without a cane, but you can do that. Like, huh?
Yep, makes perfect sense. So yes, he's steaming his shirt, and then he gets like, "Oh, Master Soul, I'm sorry for losing Osha. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Blah blah blah. Forgive me." Blah. And he like bows, and like Soul's just like, "Okay, whatever, it's fine. We gotta go." And then Jackie is like, "Put some clothes on, Yord." Like, whatever. This is It was just so out of place for me. Like we talked about at the beginning, but whatever. It's just I hope we
I
don't.
thought it was funny.
I hope we don't have to see that again. But
Dang.
So then Jackie is talking with Soul about OSHA and what's going on, and Soul says that she had a sister, and Jackie's like, "Well, that's not in any of the records that we have." And
I
he's
mean,
like,
if it's
"Oh,
not in the archives, it simply doesn't exist.
right." And so what is interesting is there is a discrepancy in Soul's story. I don't know if you noticed it, but here he says, "I saw her die." And I can't remember if it's next episode. I think it's next episode when he's talking on a hollow with Vernestra. He's like, we presumed her to be dead. Like, it must have been like, maybe like she fell into a fire pit or something.
I think
And you
they
just assume that they died. I saw her fall and she died. But
Or maybe
like,
a house collapsed in on her or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
so it's definitely like, well, did you see her die, or are you just thinking she died? Like, the story is already contradictory.
Well, I think before he realized it was May that was doing it, he said she was dead. And then when when he realized it was probably May that's doing it, he's like, well, I guess we thought she was dead.
Maybe.
But also, like with the other Jedi, and when he took that stuff, like it really seemed like there was a reason why they didn't take May, and almost like they just knew, like I don't know. I don't think it's as easy as we're thinking it is. I think we're gonna get a flashback of a scene or something that's gonna actually show like, no, like those Jedi's messed up and they could have actually saved her and they chose not to for some reason. And they just assumed that she died. But like
I think that Soul genuinely thought May died, but
I
the
think
story
so did, but I don't think that one Jedi that didn't talk for 10 years. I think he knew that maybe she was alive because he was so guilty of what happened that he literally killed himself.
Right, but I think he believed that she was dead also.
Well, didn't he say when he woke up, he's like, I've been waiting for you?
Yeah.
Oh, that is true.
So I think he knew.
I think
he
knows
could
something.
feel it through the Force.
Or he knew and he felt so guilty.
Or it was something like in his meditative state, like he recently,
I think we're gonna find out,
came to realization that she's still alive. But like, if something happened that he blames himself for, he might have blamed himself for her death, but then other things happened too. Like other people died, like the rest of her family, and he blames himself for everything. But then, like, he must have maybe in the Force, like, sensed her doing things in recent weeks or something, and then he's like, I've been expecting you to find me or something. But I don't know. Like you said, we'll find out in a flashback probably. And so they arrive on this planet, they land, they search the ship, there's nothing there. And then you get this moment where Soul is like, looks and like pauses and like starts running away and says, follow me. Like he must have just sensed where she was or something, I'm guessing. It was just cool, like he like had a moment of something in the Force directed him in a certain direction, which is like we don't always see that in Star Wars, where they're that in tune with the Force where they can sense a calling to move in this direction.
You do in the books.
Yep.
I mean, like, but for real though, like that moment for me was not. That made total sense when I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, he has a bond with her. He can sense where she is.
Okay, what if? Okay, this is kind of going back to like what we might see, but what if we realize like the flashback, because she's trying to kill the 4 people that were on that planet, the 4 Jedis that were stationed there. What if they caused whatever happened, and they couldn't. They like somehow caused it so their parents died, and May knew it because she didn't get taken, but her sister had no idea that the Jedi were actually the ones that caused it. And
Oh.
somehow she finds out the real exact story, and then she turns on them through the Sith or
So
At
whatever
the end
this
of the
dude.
season,
so
big cliffhanger.
who was it? It was either, I can't remember if it was this episode or the next episode. I think it was this one, but it was either Soul or Osha says that May started a fire.
OSHA says it.
So are we? So are we assuming then that
Maybe they told her that's what happened.
Yeah, maybe the Jedi were lying to her.
maybe?
I think that would be a really cool, interesting thing is if she gets this flashback of actually what happens through this upper hand force dude, if he's actually controlling her dreams and whatever, and she actually sees what actually happens and then actually turns and becomes evil, and that's when like starts using the force. Like she actually realizes that this Jedi that I trusted, she already said she trusts as a Jedi, she realizes that she can't actually trust them anymore because she found out that what actually happened to her family. I think that'd be a really cool
I think it would be too.
plot twist.
I
Or
dig that.
somehow May dies and then
And she takes on the mantle of the Acolyte. Yeah, I'm digging it.
yeah.
I'm digging it.
I think
I'm
that would
not
be
gonna lie.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremiah's obviously enthused.
Oh, that'd be cool. But we don't know. Like, there's just like
This
we
is
don't know enough of the
prediction.
story.
but-
Yeah. So Soul chases or runs through the storm in the snow, looking for Osha, and Osha goes into like a cave system tunnel thing,
Cave of
and
Wonder.
and they're following her, and she gets to an opening that she thinks is a way out, and it's a cliff at the opening, and she's classic. We've seen this in a million movies and shows. We've seen Star Wars. We've seen other stuff where there's like trapped. I didn't do it. I didn't kill him, because they catch up, and she's surprised to see Soul. Soul's like runs out there and is like, Osha, you gotta come with me. Like, and she's like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Da, da, da. And then she slips and she falls, and boom, he catches her really super easy. And was it just me, or did he kind of like yank her a little too hard back up onto the?
Yeah,
Like,
there's a little bit of a yeet there.
It was a little
there's a little yeet going on.
He was
like,
tired from running after her, okay?
I don't know, I'm
he was
like,
a little gassed out.
just don't like give her whiplash, like. But she lands up on the ledge again, and he like embraces her, like doesn't hug her, but like goes up close to her and like smiles at her, like a father seeing someone, like a child that they've seen a long time, like
Yeah.
embracing, and she's like, May is alive, and he's like, I believe you. And that's the end of that scene, and then we get one final scene that was kind of weird for me, but it's also very interesting because it has a lot to say about where this motivation is between May and her master. And so she's walking on like a rocky beach, and you hear a voiceover, and it's basically saying the Jedi are living in a dream, and you can't kill a Jedi with blaster or steel or something like that. The only way to kill is an acolyte with no weapon, and you can't win with a weapon. But then he ignites a red lightsaber.
Okay, so this is my problem.
Yeah.
This is he shouldn't have ignited his lightsaber.
Yeah, I didn't like it either, just because it's like, hey, cool, look, it's a red lightsaber.
Yeah,
hey.
I think the moment would have held more weight and would have added to the mystery. Like, look, we already know, okay, from the trailers, we already know he's got the creepy grin mask. We already know he's got a red lightsaber. It's in the trailer, okay? Just don't give us that yet.
But that scene in the trailer was this.
But not with a lightsaber, though.
You know, in the next trailer was with lightsaber.
All I'm saying is, if like, give us the voice so it alludes to what's going on, have him turn around. Maybe we don't get to see him fully, but like everyone's gonna know. But don't do the light. Like it
Yeah.
serves no purpose for him,
Just
for
to
the story
show
to
that
do that.
he's evil.
Like, she knows he has a lightsaber, right? What is he do? He's trying to intimidate the fish? Like, no one, unless there's someone just off camera that he's trying to intimidate. Like, what is the point? Sure, maybe he's trying to intimidate her, but like, his power should be great enough that she should be. They're already intimidated by him. You know what I'm saying? So like,
But
all
are
I'm
they?
saying is it would have helped the mystery more if he hadn't have been like, look, it's red.
Yeah, that's
you know,
that is true. Like that was literally just for us.
or like, maybe what if maybe it's a close up. Maybe he just like turns his head around over his shoulder a little bit and you see the mask. Like,
Yeah.
anything but like the red lightsaber
When you
that
literally are telling
screams,
someone not to
I'm the
use
bad guy. Yeah. Like, I don't know. That was my second qualm.
I was like, I didn't like that they ignited a saber either. Like, is this to get people hyped and think it's cool because lightsaber is cool, and a red one just means evil? And
Mhm.
but so one of the theories that people had a while ago about this character was that rather than being part of the Sith, that he's one of the original or one of the older Knights of Ren members, because the way his voice sounded very similar to our boy Kylo Ren. Now, I don't know all the backstory about the Knights of Ren. I know Ren was an actual name of a
Yes,
person.
he was. Yeah.
I don't know what that timeline is, like when they started or how old they are or if they're around now or what. But I'm just saying the mask
I know.
looks similar to like
I
all those
know.
different Ren characters that we see.
It does.
And the voice was very similar to Kylo Ren, in my opinion.
I'm going to rage if it is a freaking Knight of Ren. If it is, it so help me. If we find out that this is just a Knights of Ren thing, all right, there's no Sith involved, and somehow they have taken that stupid story from after Return of the Jedi and put it into this. You could have done anything with it. No, see, I am going to rage.
You can
Make
rage
sure
with
you're
me about the show.
on this episode.
I will, dude. Let me. I'm planning to be here for the finale. Like, let me tell you something. So help. If this is just if this is just like, let's do the Knights of Ren, but before, no,
Let's
dude,
tie it all together.
give us the Knights of Ren in the comic. They're a joke. They're a freaking joke. Like, Luke walks in, Jedi Master Luke walks in and just wipes the floor with him, like, so easily in those comics. Like, they're a freaking joke, okay? Like, and they're a joke in the movies. Like, not to mention, like, I really hope that I really hope that theory is wrong. Like, jeez,
his mask reminds me of like kind of like Chainsaw Man.
yeah, it's got that like, it's got that
Yeah.
look. I like the mask. It's creepy. It's got that big grin looking, like.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I really hope that that's not the case.
But yeah, so he's just there telling you gotta kill a Jedi with no weapon. But like, what does that actually look
don't know.
like? Is it just like choking him? Like,
Yeah, or
you're
just
not gonna do that to Kelneka.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what does that mean? And I guess poison's technically a weapon, but not. Like, didn't she already do
that
it?
didn't. No, that didn't count.
I know that doesn't count, but I mean, it was pretty well thought out.
When we get to that, I still don't get it, but we'll get to it. So that was episode 1.
I think we will.
That was episode 1, Lost and Found. Next up, episode 2, Revenge and Justice. And we go to a planet called Olega, and there is a Jedi temple there, and some punk kid messing around grabs a thing, throws it on the little security scanner thing. It has 2 eyeballs rather than 1, so I guess it's so different, you know. It's 100 years earlier, and so he's big like, stop messing with me, blah blah blah, get out of here. And then May comes out, throws a little disc thing on it. At first, I thought it was a detonator, but then I guess it's just a hacker, and it just opens up the door for her, and she walks in. And like, so she like, there's like a scene where she's like standing at the corner, like looking around, and there's like 2 Jedi, and she just waits for them to go. And then they leave, and then she starts walking, and then another Jedi just walks by her. I'm like, what? Like,
I mean, she's got a robe on. I think it shows how comfortable the Jedi have become, how untouchable they think they are. But also
maybe.
it could be dark. It could be dark side cloak, force cloak stuff. You don't know.
I don't know, or maybe it's because she got in, she was approved to get in by the security. So it's like, if you're in here, like,
Yeah, they
like,
just assumed. Yeah,
but like, I just felt like a Jedi should have been able to, at this point of like how powerful they are and how great they are. That
I don't know, maybe she wasn't like a full knight yet.
Maybe just a Padawan. There are some Padawans that we see, but I don't know. I just thought it was a little. She's trying to be like sneak in, and she just walks by a person. I just thought it was kind of weird. But she walks into a room, and there is a Jedi meditating. And when you first see him, he's just standing in the middle of the room looking away. And she walks in, and he's actually floating, and his cape or his robe is down on the ground. And so he's been meditating, and we learned he's been meditating nonstop for 10 years. And his name is Master Torben. And
dude's powerful.
This is mentioned later on, but what he is doing is he's doing the Barash vow, which, if you do not know what that is, go check out Comics with Grace #1, where we actually learn who this Barash person is and the backstory of how she is the first person to take this vow, and this vow is named after her. And so basically it's, you feel so guilty about not paying attention to the Force and being in tune with the Force that you exile yourself, and you no longer work as a Jedi anymore, and you just focus on being in complete connection with the Force. And so he's been in this state of trying to be one with the Force for 10 straight years. And
my thing is, how is his body not deteriorating without drinking or eating?
The Force sustains him.
All right. That's all I need to know. Makes
sense. When in doubt, just go with because the Force. And so she does her thing like she did in the first episode, and attack me with all your strength. And nothing happens. He's just sitting there sleeping, meditating, and she gets kind of mad, and she goes to punch him. And there is a force field. A force field, however you want to say it.
Yeah, I was like, oh shoot, this dude is really powerful.
Which was very reminiscent of The Mandalorian season 2, when they go to, what's the name of the planet with the old Jedi temple there, where Grogu gets put on the Seeing Stone.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that
Tython?
planet? Tython. It reminds me of that, because when he sits on the thing and starts meditating, there's a force field that goes up.
They couldn't get him.
So that's somewhat related, I guess, that when you're in the deepest level of meditation in the Force protects you, because you can't protect yourself. And so
you're one with the Force. The Force is with them.
Yep. And so it's like, you ever like play a video game and there's a door that you haven't gotten progressed enough into the level.
You just keep trying to touch it. And
you just like keep like blowing it up, using all your weapons, you're using a lightsaber and slashing it, and just to like get in. That's basically what she was doing against Master Torben. She was just kicking it, punching it, throwing knives. She's like,
she did like a roundhouse kick and fell to the ground.
And she's like, well, maybe it's kind of like a cup, and if I run up the wall and jump down into it, that didn't work. And then she
I really
hears,
was hoping to see more of him in action because I was like, oh, this dude, he must be really powerful.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But nope.
And so as this is happening, she hears from the distance, someone has broken in, search the facility. And so she jumps up through, coincidentally or whatever, she just jumps up and there's like a opening in the ceiling.
Did they shut that when it rains? Does he get wet?
He
The
no,
force,
he
that's the
can't.
force
The
field.
force field.
The force
You
field.
don't get
Oh,
wet.
dang, you're right.
Duh.
So it just pulls up, it just floods.
There's
I got you.
there's a drain under him. You didn't.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't see it.
It's
The
like,
the
it's like a
cake.
shower.
Yeah.
um,
I wonder if he smells.
Dude, how does he go to the bathroom? I have a lot of questions.
well,
Well,
he's not eating or drinking, so he doesn't have to pass
the
anything.
bathroom I can understand, but like I feel
he
like
can't smell then because he's not sweating. He's not like.
I don't know. I feel like you just naturally create. I mean, 10 years.
Well, okay, maybe the force field is like a one-way thing. Like you can't go through it, but things can go out from it.
Or
So, like,
maybe he smells within his field. So when he got it off, she almost passed out. That's why she saw the mask on because she didn't want to smell.
I don't know. There's a lot.
I
If
don't
he
know.
smells, it's within the shield, so no one else can smell it.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
It just like threw me off because like I didn't understand what was really happening to him. And then when the other Jedi's came in and they looked and they didn't even like try to talk to him, I was like, oh, this guy's like stuck. Like he's stuck in this mode.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Master Torben's doing his thing again.
Because when the Jedi's come in and look,
They don't pay him attention.
they don't even. They just act
yeah.
like he's a statue in the middle of the room. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't see anything in here. Oh, hi. This guy doesn't do anything except be here. Okay.
yeah. So she runs away. Guy comes in, doesn't see anything, then leaves. And so that's the end of that scene, and then it jumps to the ship with our Jedi, and Jackie is trying to reset something, start something on the ship. It's not working, and Osha is like, hey, why don't you try whatever, blah, blah, blah. And Jackie does it, and it works. And she's like, cool, thanks. And so it was cool that, like, she was trusting of Osha at this moment. But then Soul walks in, and then you see Jackie like, oh, hey, Master Soul, what's up?
Well, she asked her questions like, oh, so you must be a pilot. And then she said, no, I'm not a pilot.
I'm was it the mech neck? And she's like, oh, that's pretty dangerous. I didn't know
I thought R2 were supposed to do
yeah,
that.
it's been outlawed. And she's like, well, R2's units can do that, but I'm more flexible. And then Pip is like, I'm flexible too. What are you talking about? And like, oh yeah, sorry, you're flexible too. But yeah, so Soul comes in, and then he goes and talks with Yord, and Yord's like, I don't like this. She shouldn't be just hanging out. She needs to be tied up, basically. And he's like, whatever, it's fine. Soul says that, and then Soul gets on a call with Vernestra and says that there are twins and that May might be alive, and he's like, she was presumed dead, and she brings the attention that on the planet Olega there was another attack of some sort. Something's going on. Go investigate.
There's a break-in with the same similar
description.
description.
And he's like, well, do you want me to go back to Coruscant with the prisoner, or do you want me to go investigate? And she's like, go investigate. And because Osha might be an asset, which is kind of, I didn't really get why she thought that. Like,
well, because if it's her sister, and sure, Osha didn't know. Maybe if she sees her sister, maybe she won't come and like surrender herself.
It just seemed like a very like rash. Like, you don't know what's going on, and you're just gonna like put this girl with you, like, because later on she's like, oh, you can't go investigate even though you know where she's headed next. Like, we don't make rash decisions. Like, it just felt like it was a rash decision to like, yeah, bring her with. Like, she's gonna be an asset. Like, you don't know that. Like, what's going based on the information you have, you don't know what's going on. But whatever. So they go investigate, and we see May walking through a marketplace in some town, and she goes into, I forget what the word they used,
Apothecary. Yep.
which is like a medicine
Pharmacy.
pharmacy type of thing.
Yeah.
And so she goes in there, and we meet. Is it Quimir or Queer? Is Qimir? Quimir. I forget how they said it.
I don't know.
But he's in there, and he was experimenting with the product, let's just say. And so he's sleeping, and then she throws a cup at him, and he wakes up. Hey, blah blah blah, and she basically says, "I can't fight this Torben guy. I need a weapon."
Well, yeah, because he was like, "Oh, so you killed the Jedi already?" And she's like, "No."
No, and I need a weapon, but I need poison. And it's stated here that she has to kill one Jedi without a weapon. This is like kind of where we get this idea from. And like she can kill all these other Jedi with a weapon, but one has to be without a weapon. And Quimir says that if you kill one without a weapon, it will please your master. Like, oh, okay. So this is.
I'm pretty sure he said the master.
Or the
Yeah,
whatever.
Because it gave me the sense of like, oh, they're both
Yeah, they're both involved.
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah. However, he said like the master. We get introduced to like just the master. There's no name. It's not like a Darth or any specific name with it. It's just the master. I'm like, okay, cool. That's interesting. And he kind of has like kind of like a little philosophical thing. Like the Jedi, I think they have peace, but they don't. And this Torben guy, he doesn't have peace, even though he thinks it seems as if he has peace. And so it's like, if you look at these words that he's saying, it's going back, it's like very suspicious. Like, how does he know all this? Because we find out later he was like a gun smuggler or something for the Hutts. I'm like, how does like,
or we think
that's what he says, but it's just like, why do you have this ideology against the Jedi when you're just a smuggler?
Yeah.
By trade, basically. And it's like the only way to relieve him of his inner turmoil is absolution, like to absolve him of his wrongdoing, which, okay. And so ends up making a vial of poison with.
This was the scene where he said there is no peace.
Right. So like that's a Sith. Because what is it? There is no peace. There is
passion.
So a Sith line that he's aware of, which is very interesting. So how does he know a line from the Sith code, which is more evidence that maybe he's something.
The master.
He's the master, maybe.
So cool. That'd be so freaking cool.
And so May has a herb or something from her home planet that is used to make a poison. And so he makes it, and she takes it with her. Then we go back to the Jedi, and Sol goes up and talks with Osha, and she's fixing or messing with Pip, and he's like, "What's that?" "Oh, this is my Pip droid." Like, "No, that on your arm, it's a tattoo." And
Drew, did that look like the BTS logo to you when you first saw it?
Yep.
That's what I thought. I was like, "Oh, she's an army." Wow, that's fun. Anyways, go ahead, Jeremiah.
So she's just basically like, "Oh yeah, we had one crazy night with a bunch of my friends one night, whatever." And she's like, "You don't like it?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter what I think." What? Okay, like it's just it's not like a whole. I can understand like someone being disgusted by like a sleeve, but like a little, like two little.
Which also doesn't make sense to me because like there's Jedis that have tattoos.
But those are like cultural though, not from a drunken night of fun.
Oh, sure, that's fair.
And so then he asks about. I forget. Did he ask her about May, or did she ask him about May? And they were talking about whether or not she could have survived.
I don't remember.
I remember something like that. But then there's kind of just talking back and forth and his failure, and he basically said, maybe I was just a bad teacher.
I appreciated that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That was a Qui-Gon verse right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we jump back to the temple, and May comes back to finish the thing, and she's basically like it's kind of confusing because she was like trying to bring up something from his past to like wake him up, and she says, well, you can also you can seek forgiveness too by this. And she puts the vial down on the ground, and he wakes up, and he slowly goes down to the ground, floats down to the ground, and was basically like, I thought what we were doing was the right thing.
Yeah.
But then he's regretting it. So we should also mention that he has like a scarred eye, like there's slash marks and scarring, and he's lost an eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're assuming that this is an injury from that fire, whatever happened that day. And so he decides to drink this poison, which I don't really get. Like, why does killing himself, like, if he could have just killed himself?
Well, I think it was her being there because he says, I'm sorry. He apologizes to her right before he does it. And
But,
I
like,
think this is him making it right for her.
is it like an eye for an eye thing? Like,
Maybe.
your sister is
boo,
dead?
Boo.
Boo what?
He's losing an eye. He's missing an eye.
I didn't.
He didn't mean it like that.
Boo.
I did not mean that pun.
Yeah,
I
but
was
maybe,
like, what do you mean, boo?
Yeah,
Like,
maybe. I feel like he's so heavy with guilt that this was like, this is my way to make amends.
He literally just couldn't take it anymore. 10 years of meditation didn't help.
Yeah,
I
I think this was his way of making things right with her, because there's clearly something happening there that he feels guilty for, and he's never gotten rid of it.
Right. I'm just like, did he have to take his life in front of her to know that, like, justice has been served?
Maybe.
Like, is that what it...
I don't think we're going to know until we get more of the backstory.
Okay. Because I was just like...
Maybe he was the one that actually, like, set off the fire or killed her family or something.
Yeah.
And the others just helped to cover it up.
He definitely felt the most guilty because the other ones are, like, literally in the Jedi Order, and
Yeah.
like, he definitely, and that's why I think he knows more than the other Jedis too.
Possibly.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not to the point where, like, well, but it would create a really cool story if the whole time her former master is actually covering it up and he actually knows what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That would create a really cool story.
Yeah.
I think there's more to this story than we're actually thinking.
Well, yeah, obviously. But, like, so, like, the thing that, like, made me confused was, at this point, we haven't been given the word apothecary yet until later on in the episode. And so I thought that where May met Quimar, I thought it was like was it alcohol? So, like, I was like, oh, is it like, oh, they're forgiving each other and then they do it over a drink, like I don't know, like that's what I thought it was. So I thought he was like, all right, we've forgiven each other. We're gonna take a drink, like, to, like, settle this.
Oh, I thought they mentioned it was poison.
Yeah.
No, she knew it was poison, yes, but, like, but I thought the poison was from her herb going into an alcoholic beverage.
Oh.
So I thought he thought it was an alcoholic beverage. So, like, this is the last, all right, on a drink shot, like, we're good now. So, like,
yeah, I always got the sense that when she held it up, she was like, "You can make amends with this." He knew. He was like, "Oh yeah,"
because I thought she was just referring to, like, some maybe on that planet it was a cultural thing, like,
gotcha. No,
so,
I
like,
assumed that he knew that he was going to kill himself.
So, like, I thought that he took it not realizing that he was going to die.
No.
Oh no,
and it was an accident on his part. type of thing. But then later on, it's an apothecary, which is
Yeah.
medicine. So it's like, okay, it's not that.
Yeah.
So it is what it
Interesting.
is.
No, I assume that he knew because he also came out of the trance. Like he came out of being meditation, like the meditation when she like showed him it.
Yeah.
And so like I assumed he knew that he was gonna. I just thought he was just not gonna do it. I was hoping that he was just gonna kick her butt, and then figure it out because this guy. As soon as he opened his eye and it was scarred like that, I'm like, "Oh, this guy's so cool! I want to see him fight.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna be dope."
Same.
And then, no,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh wow, he just killed
Do you
himself."
think
All right.
that he had people trim his beard and his hair for him while he was in the trance?
No, the force makes his
like-
hair,
like
hair
the-
doesn't
No
grow.
one can get into the force field.
Yeah, but like, would his hair just not grow?
Yeah, nothing happens. Your body stays still. Apparently, you don't gain weight, you don't
Oh.
lose weight, you don't take a crap, you don't pee, and your hair doesn't grow.
Mm. So they didn't have someone with some hedge clippers, just like a shrubbery.
It's like
No.
lightsabers.
Yeah.
Well, unless maybe he had did he have his lightsaber on him? Maybe they could use the force to take the saber off his
And
hip
just trim his.
inside the thing, and then
I can
with
just
the
see
blade,
that
shave him and
that
cut his hair.
that thick Jedi like cutting his hair messes up, and the other Jedi's like, "Dude, I told you not to use the force that way. You're supposed to take this angle." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." That thick Jedi, he's like, "Oh, he's missing." That guy was a useless character.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's a weird guy. But anyway, so while this is happening, the Jedi are at the temple, like trying to get in. Like, there's an investigation that's going on that's related to what's going on here. And so, right when Torben takes a drink or drinks the poison, Soul goes to him, and he feels it in the Force that something has happened. And at this point, Osha has broken off from the group and followed a little vision of May again, the little girl May.
Which also, to your point, it makes sense why this would have been the master, not her, showing this
Right.
vision because she's
Yeah.
already in the process of trying to kill this.
Well,
dude.
that was the moment because I thought it was her the first time, and then this was the moment when I was like, "Oh, this is not."
And she
not
also
doing
didn't
this.
know that her sister was alive later on.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was weird. Do you hear that? Something's knocking. Oh,
No, I don't hear it.
I don't
I
know.
don't hear anything.
I think it's upstairs. But I thought it was weird that Osha was able to get to Torben before the rest of them. Like, how did she get there faster? Like,
Oh, it's a shortcut.
yeah, but
You know,
why
super,
wouldn't?
Mario Kart? There's always the shortcuts.
Yeah,
and you
but
get there
why?
faster.
Why wouldn't the head of the temple?
You know,
take
I
the
thought that
shortcut?
myself. You just gotta let that go.
You're thinking too hard.
Yeah,
Young
just let it go.
Padawan.
Yeah.
Just believe in the Force.
Okay.
It's strong enough to make you not age or die from water
poop,
or poop
or
or
pee,
pee
you
or
know?
grow hair.
And
There's
apparently, you can have a fire in space. So
So one angle, Jeremiah.
yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Well, but also, like, do we know that that's where they were going?
Yeah.
yeah, because in fairness, yes, because he was like he hasn't talked to anybody in 10 years, and Soul's like he will talk to me, and that's when they start walking.
Then why wouldn't they just go that route?
Yeah, that's what
That's my
Jeremiah's
whole
saying.
point.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
So then what happens is Osha gets to the body first. And Yord follows her as she breaks off because he doesn't trust her anyway. And so she finds the body, sees a
And
vial on the
I
ground,
was like,
sniffs
yo,
it.
dude.
And
I
I'm
was
like,
put it
they're
down,
going to
put it
walk
down.
in.
Yeah, I was like, please stop.
I was
You are not
literally
having your-
like, "Oh, honey,
And, like,
stop!"
yeah.
Even if she didn't have the canister or little vial in her hand,
Just
Her
the fact that
being
she's
in
there
there
is
is
still
like,
there. And so she's like, they come in and the master takes out his saber, points at her, and step away from the body, whatever. And she's like, I know what this looks like. And this is like very another Marvel thing for me. Like, I know what this looks like, but you gotta. Like, it's just very like one of those things that you see in a lot of whatever. And then I'm very thankful that Yord came in right away and was like, it wasn't her. I followed her when she broke off. The body was already dead before she got here. So like I like
I was
that
happy about that because I didn't want that to just prolong
because
that
like I knew
story arc.
I totally forgot about Yord following her at that point, but like it goes to show that Yord still believes in the right thing. Like he's not gonna like withhold that information just because he doesn't like her. Like
Yeah, he's
so
falling by the, and it's not that he doesn't like her. He just didn't
doesn't
trust
trust
her
her,
at that time.
and so it's just basically like, why would he willingly drink this? Like, what? How did this happen? We don't understand. Um, and so they realized that the poison was used like whatever or with like alcohol or whatever, and they're like, well, where could this have? Or sorry, not with alcohol, with medicine. And it's like, where would he have gotten this from? Well, it's mixed with this, herb, so it can't be far. Like it has to be pretty close by because it would lose its ability to be poisoned after a quick time. So it's like it has to be close. And like, well, the closest place would be this apothecary,
Yep.
this nearby, and so they go across the street on thing, and they're literally 20 feet away, but they're still using space binoculars to like look
Oh
down.
yeah, that was one thing that even like Tanner's like, why is this guy watching this fight when he can literally look down? I was like,
And
that
so
was
they're
one
like,
thing that made the set feel small
right,
because like maybe it was supposed to portray that it was farther, but then it just wasn't.
yep.
I don't know.
And so immediately they're like, okay, that guy running the shop is not our normal guy. He's not supposed to be there. And Soul is like, all right, what kind of plan are we gonna do? And Yord's like, let's go in and surround them, make a perimeter and surround it, and go in and arrest them or whatever. And Jackie was like, how about we not do that? And how about we just send OSHA in, pretending to be May, and see if we can get a confession or information. And so I was like, we'll go with your idea, Padawan. That was a good idea. I thought that was a funny thing. And so OSHA goes in because she gets she buys a purple cloak thing or head wrap thing and goes in and hello, hi, how's it going? Like it was just
I
very
was just like,
awkward.
this is not good. This is not going well.
And so he slowly walks in like, oh, you killed a Jedi without a weapon. And she's like, no, I poisoned him. Like, and like, oh, so what I gave you worked or whatever. And like, oh, now they're listening. Oh, there it is, the confession, blah, blah, blah. And they're about to run in, but Soul's like, stop, let's wait. And then it's like, oh, the master will be pleased with this. And then that's when Soul tells him to go. And then, I should say that before they go in, there's a weapon that the Jedi have, a gun of some sort. And Yord says it's about something like stunning. I'm like, okay, like whatever. I don't know what that is because like I heard beforehand that yes, there's gonna be the light whip in this show, but there's also gonna be a new Jedi weapon that we've never seen before. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, it's his gun, but what's
This is a
so
stun gun.
great about this gun? And so uh Osha is talking to Quimir and he gets really close and like, wow, you look almost exactly like her or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
I was literally going to be like, he knows. He
like
already freaking knows.
he not just that, oh, it's not May, but it seems like if this is the master, like he knows
He knows
of
of
OSHA.
Yeah.
OSHA.
So so then she backs up, grabs the gun, and is pointing at him. And,
Well, and she's like getting teary eyed too. Like
I
at them.
didn't notice that.
I didn't either.
Really? Yeah, because like when he started talking about like pretty much when he was talking to her, then she fully realized, oh, my sister is alive. So she was like getting teary eyed
Hmm.
because I like 100% confirmed that her sister was alive when he wasn't like surprised to see her and stuff like that.
Right.
So it became reality to her. So if you watch it, like her eyes are like getting watery.
And you know, you saw
And
in the
she's
theater,
getting
so
more.
her tears are about the size of beach balls on screen,
Yeah.
probably. So
Yeah.
Wow.
probably easier to see those tears drop
Wow.
then.
Yeah.
But she backs away and pulls out this gun blaster thing that we don't know what it is, and then Yord comes in next to his lightsaber, and Clymere is like, "Oh, I gotta go grab something behind here or something," and then Jackie comes in the back door and is like, "Ha, we got a confession." And then Soul comes in and starts asking questions, and he's like, "Who is he?" This is so stupid. I thought he was with you. And he's like, rephrase his question: does May have a master? And he's like, I don't know anything about. I'm just a supplier. I just help her out when she needs things. And I always used to be a blaster smuggler for the Hutts or whatever. And like, she just wants to get revenge on 4 Jedi or something like that. She needs to kill 4 Jedi.
Which I thought was ingenious because he gave them just enough for them to feel like, oh, he gave us some information, but not so much. He really didn't reveal anything.
Right. Right.
You know,
And because he didn't
the
like
move that a Sith master might do.
Yeah, because like he asked, you know, who is he, and then, you know, rephrase it to who does she have a master, and he doesn't answer the question at all. So like he just deflects. But he's like, well, May will return tonight if you want to, you know, come back and wait for her. Like she'll be back, and then you can get her then. And they're like, okay, like, it's like assuming that he is the master. Like, what is his motivation to see if she can defend herself against all these Jedi? Like, is it just a test? Is it because he knows that Soul is one of these targets?
I straight up think it's a test for her.
That's a straight test of if she
Yeah.
can survive or not. Okay.
Yeah.
Or also like my view now is that I don't think May is the one that he's actually wanting. I think he really wants his sister.
Yeah.
So he could be willing to sacrifice, because if May dies at the hand of the Jedi, then his sister would see that and actually turn potentially faster.
That's also true.
Yeah.
True. You should just write the series, honestly.
Apparently,
Jeez.
I might be onto something.
Acolyte
time
Acolyte fanfic win.
Yeah.
If I got this right, I'm gonna be so happy.
If you win a
Very
$500
rare.
million Powerball, you can do your own version.
Just make the Plagueis movie.
Facts. Sorry, Jeremiah.
So then goes back to the Jedi planning what they're doing, and Soul and Osha are kind of arguing a little bit, and Osha's like, well, you're not my master anymore. You can't tell me what to do.
You're not my dad.
But like Soul's like, you know, I'm trying to save May as well. Like I couldn't save her back then, so I want to see if I can save her now. And this is when Osha is like, you know, Clymere said that she's after 4 Jedi, and Indara, and Torben were 2 of the 4 Jedi.
She also mentions Kelaka.
Yep, and then Kelnaka is
Kelnaka, that's what I meant.
And then, but you're also one of the targets, and he's basically, I'll be fine, type of thing. Okay, well, there's a little tension there, and so Yord is using his binoculars.
He's Yording. He's Yording it up.
Yording it up from like 10 feet away, sees her coming in, and she's like, there she is. And then you hear, so she's walking, and then you hear Soul yell May, and she turns around and she's like, "It's on like Donkey Kong," and you didn't like that reference, Andrew?
No,
I
it's just
saw your disgust in your eyes. Like,
no. It just sounded like it sounded like you went. She turned around and was like she said it. Can you imagine if that was the line?
Then Jeremiah would have rage quit.
And he was like, May. She turns around and she's like, "It's on like Donkey Kong," and then the old Matrix music, and then like everything's slow motion, and it's just a Matrix movie at this point.
yep.
Would you have loved that, Jeremiah?
Well, if Morpheus and Neo were there, it would have been.
All of a sudden, it's just Matrix 6.
Hey man, who knows? Neo could be behind the
or
mask.
5.
Wasn't that
Ooh.
the original rumor that he was supposed to be in the show?
No, that is the rumor that Keanu Reeves is in this show.
Wait, really?
Mm.
Yeah. So people think that there's going to be like a Sith holocron or something, and it's going to be Revan.
Oh, ooh, I'm rereading that right now.
So
it's really good.
That's been one of the first rumors to come out. We don't know if it's true, but if he shows up as someone, it would have to be Revan. And if that's the thing, then Revan is canon.
Let me tell you something. If they bring my boy in, okay,
this Jeremiah Andrew's new favorite show.
Yeah.
And he's the one that actually started the Knights of Ren. Actually, let's think about that for a second.
Okay, but my question is why? Why would he? No,
you get Sith and the Knights of Ren at the same time, so everyone wins.
Well, like,
I don't know.
Are you gonna be mad? Would you be mad?
Listen, him starting the Knights of Ren would be the equivalent of them bringing Thrawn into canon and him just being an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, Revan would have never. First of all, that's completely against his art. Well, anyways, that's not the point. Just bring Revan in. I just give me a little bit of Revan.
When you read, now that you're rereading the book, do you like sit there with your lightsaber that we bought you and just kind of swing it around as you're reading the book?
No, because I normally just read it in bed, and that would be very distracting to my wife, who is normally trying to sleep while I'm reading.
That'd be hilarious, though, on a reel. Just saying.
But I should mention that Revan is technically canon because one of the Sith
in the deleted
in
scenes,
9 is called the Revan, which is named after a form. All those ships are named after former Sith.
And also that deleted scene in the Mortis arc where the sun goes down and communes with the Sith Lords, and he communes with Darth Bane, who in that artwork, by the way, doesn't have that stupid Bane look that they did with the samurai armor. He looks like the Bane from the books, and Revan's there as well.
Oh, I'm not aware of that deleted
scene. So like they have a rough animatic of it. It was never finished, but he's down there.
But does that mean it's canon though if it was deleted?
No. But like just freaking give me Revan. That's all I want. And then maybe if they do that, all right, maybe we can get the Old Republic.
Maybe.
Because like this is the High Republic, but we haven't gotten the Old Republic.
But isn't the Old Republic even older than the High Republic?
Like 3,000 years before.
Yeah, we're talking thousands and thousands of years. Look, all I'm saying is we're getting the Dawn of the Jedi, the Origins of the Jedi movie. All right, so we're getting like the
25,000 years.
Yeah, like the book cap on the far end. But
who's
there's
doing
a lot
that
of
movie?
story.
I don't know.
Is that the one that George is allegedly working on?
This was announced a long time ago.
Yeah, it was that one, the Rey movie, and Mandalorian and Grogu.
But at the last announcement at Celebration.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is there's a lot of room.
But isn't there that rumor that George is working on something now?
There's rumors that he's gonna buy back Disney.
All I'm saying is just
I don't care about.
I don't care. I don't care about that.
Hopefully he doesn't do that. That would be. I don't.
Just give me a Revan. One day, just give me a Revan movie.
Right. And my point was 5 minutes ago that if they're bringing in Keanu Reeves to play Revan in a holocron message or something, that means that they have plans to do a Revan story. Because they're
not necessarily.
They're not gonna get one of the biggest actors, pay him $50 million.
But like, what are they gonna do? They would have to de-age him. Like he's spry for his age. Don't get me wrong, but like
Look at the de-aging they did with Hayden Christensen and Ahsoka. Like
That's
how that
true.
was perfect de-aging.
Or
it's
even
fine.
Luke.
And this would be 5 years from now or something, so the technology is going to be better.
all I'm saying is I would love that. Keanu it would be fantastic as Revan.
Yep. So it's on like Donkey Kong, and she takes off her mask and her hood, and she does like one big giant kick at the start.
That was so stupid. Even if that had landed, it wouldn't have. And like when you jump like that, you give your opponent so much time to react.
It's like the high ground.
She was getting the high ground. What do you mean?
No. You have to start from the high ground. You can't jump and make your own high ground in the air. Like if she just jumped up, but if she had like landed on a ledge, that's the high ground. But you have to be on something to have the high ground, or a jetpack.
Okay.
You can't be in motion and still have the high ground. That's not the way it works.
So he catches her kick
easily,
and then it's just some really cool hand-to-hand combat. Him just with this scene and with the opening scene from episode 1, it was a very reminiscent of like when we see Vader versus Reva when he's just like toying with her, kind of like very effortlessly dodging her lightsaber. So it's kind of here where he's just moving, twisting. She's trying to like grab his saber every time she swings by, and he's just dodging. And my favorite scene, which you mentioned earlier, was when she like dodges him, or he dodges her, or something, and then she's just looking forward, and he just like is on like a cart behind, and they just like pull the cord, and he just smoothly pulls in.
That was anime. That was live action anime, like straight up. Like that was an anime move right there.
That was literally Goku, like jumping. Like all of a sudden, where did he go? And he's behind you.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're doing all this hand-to-hand combat, really cool. And she like breaks away and goes to grab her daggers, throwing knives. And he's like, "You looking for these? I got them right here. Looks like you haven't really learned your Jedi arts that well because gotcha." Like, and she just throws them on the ground.
That's actually what he says. Yeah, I gotcha.
He should have broke them with the Force. That would have been dope. Yep. Or what would have been really cool is he would have threw him in the air, used the Force to like strap her to the floor through her clothes. That'd be cool.
That would be a little aggressive.
Didn't we see that in the Star Wars? Like clothes are like pinned against the wall with something.
Probably.
Well, we've seen it. Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
But just like with Indira, gosh dang it, why does it have to end with the same letter? Like if it was just whatever. So she
just like that.
Jeremiah uses the Force.
If you're not watching a YouTube version, I just knocked over my 4-foot tall stormtrooper.
Yeah.
So he puts her arm back.
Did it break? Is it still in one piece? I can't tell.
Oh yeah, one piece, definitely.
Oh, okay.
And her secret blade comes to her hand. And okay, also during this whole time, Yord is up there with his space binoculars watching this for fun.
So that's dumb.
He's like doing a selfie, like, "Oh, live streaming! Look at this,
world star!" Oh
my god!
And so, they're talking or whatever, and she's about to throw the sneak attack, and Yord sees it and grabs it, which was cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And then, he jumps down or comes down, and then they got her cornered. Jackie comes in with the ship and like, "In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest. Drop your weapons," even though all her weapons are gone now. And so she's cornered.
She didn't know that.
She didn't know that. But she's cornered, and you see her look at the ground.
I knew exactly what you were going to do.
Because when the ship came over, it put smoke or like dust, so she was even going like this, and then she looked at the ground and realized, I knew it. Well, I knew it right away.
I don't know. I didn't know if she like thought there was like a sewer under the ground, or if there was like she was being an earthbender and like
turtle
and like lift up a rock and throw it at him, but she just
I
pushed out all this dust, and she escaped, which I thought was kind of. I'm like, you don't have like a heat-seeking thing on the ship that can like track her. Like, I don't know. I thought they would have that down by now, but she escapes, and she's gone. Oh, I missed something. So when they're fighting, Soul like freezes her like levitating on the ground, above the ground, and tries to like read her mind. And he's like, your master has put a lot of effort in hiding his identity. Like, even if you wanted to tell me who he is, you don't know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Which adds to the idea that if Quemir is the master, that interaction
so cool.
would make sense why she...
I would love that.
So, there's that. And so during all this, Osha is listening to what's going on the comms and says that we got to stop her before she escapes the town. Like, we got to find her. So Osha, she goes to like try and like intercept May. May is running through, and she like runs into a speeder and throws out the driver.
Just GTA.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yep. And so Osha sees this, and she draws this weapon. I'm like, okay, what is this weapon exactly? I know something about stunning, but whatever. And so then she gets in the speeder, and she looks over and sees Osha, and they have this moment that I thought was a little lackluster.
Oh, I like that moment.
I don't know. I thought it was a little lackluster. They both think each other's dead, and
I
think they're in shock.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it would have been a little bit more emotions or something.
Well, okay.
Well, what?
I just thought it was great.
Oh, and so
I just don't like what she did afterwards.
Which one?
She misses.
What? Yeah.
Well, because she was in shock too.
Yeah, but like,
she was just like,
just hit her.
Do I want? But did she want to capture her? Because it's the first time she's seen her sister since she thought she was dead.
I know.
Does she want her sister to go to jail for murdering these people, or does she really want her sister to leave?
Well, she didn't let her go because she ran around the corner and started trying to shoot her again.
Well, she fully processed it through this moment.
But yeah, so my question is, was this blaster like only a stun weapon, or did Osha turn it to stun?
No, I think it's only a stun gun.
So like,
I don't know.
Because they're like, here, take the stun gun. They literally said that.
But like, I know that. But like, is it? I don't know. I just didn't get it because like, so did the Jedi invent the stun feature on blasters?
Yeah.
Like, because it's a Jedi weapon. Because she's like, oh, she was trained as a Jedi. She knows how to use this. Like, it's unique to the Jedi.
Because if you think about,
is this that new weapon that we're talking about, or is there something better?
I don't know.
Because I hope there is.
I don't know.
Well, they could just be talking about the whip.
No, because she said apart from the light whip, there's a new Jedi weapon.
Oh, okay. So like my whole thing about that is because if you remember what she said, like if you're using a lightsaber, it's to kill. So the only other weapon they can use to actually just arrest people and not to kill people, if you go by that logic, would be the stun gun.
Maybe they created that technology.
Yeah,
and it's just in blasters all the time.
But then it's like, also they license the technology out to like blaster companies,
like cops, and
so that's where
they gotta make a buck somehow.
That's where they get all their funding is
facts.
Through violent means, like we're
like freaking donations dropped.
I don't know. I just thought it was.
I mean, we do the same thing as a country, so
lackluster about a blaster that I don't know. I thought it was kind of stupid.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's not the thing. Maybe it'll be better.
I think it'll
be like Jocasta Nu's lightsaber cannon that she does in the Vader comic.
Maybe.
It definitely seemed like that's what that gun was for the Jedi to use, because they don't have blasters. So it makes sense why their only blaster would be to arrest people, to stun them. And it would make sense 100 years before episode 1, no one had blaster or stun guns. It could work. And just like the lightsabers, the stun gun was huge because the technology wasn't fully developed yet.
Yeah, that gun was pretty big.
It was giant. It was like a freaking rocket launcher.
It was like a Pringle can size barrel.
So that would make sense.
Every
technology when it comes to that stuff is very just not there yet because it's a long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, so May, she gets away. And so then we see Sol talking with Vernestra, and they're like, well, now that we know there's a connection between May and Osha, like a dark force user, this complicates things. This isn't just a former Padawan, this is a deeper level, and we got to talk this over with the council. And Sol's like, bro, we know she's going after Kalneka. Can we just go? And she's like, we don't
there is that scene where he's like, I found Kalnaka. I know where he is. I'll take you to him to make up for me selling you out.
Which is next, right?
Oh, I thought it was before that.
No, it's next.
Oh.
And so, because he knows where the Jedi know where Kalneka's been.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we know she's going there next. It's like, I'm the next target or Kalneka. Well, we should just go where he is. And she's like, no, we don't make rash decisions. We talk about things and figure this out. I'm like,
classic
that
Jedi.
makes no sense.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in a room.
Yep.
So stupid.
In a circle.
Yeah. I mean, Elzar's dealing with that same thing.
But in Elzar's defense or the Jedi's defense, they literally couldn't do anything anyway.
Well, sure.
It
but it's classic Jedi Council. So let's just theorize about it and talk about it for 14 years, and then maybe we'll make a decision.
So
there was actually there was cool High Republic cosplays at the showing that I went to.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool.
Fun.
Sweet.
And so Sol is super mad, and he's like, fine, whatever. And then we go back to
reality. Oh, there
the
goes
apothecary, and your boy, the Padawan, is walking up on top of the balcony with his space binoculars, watching Quimir. And then
May comes. Some delete.
May comes when the Jedi looks away for a second and pushes them. They do. May attacks Quimir.
Yeah.
And he has some moves. He knows what he's doing. He can
hold his own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Against a Force user. I'm like, now that you think about it, he probably is a master of some sorts. And she's about, we don't know what to do, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we're going to go to Calfar or whatever. She's like, why on earth would we go there? Because there's a Wookiee Jedi there that we can hunt. Oh, you found Kalneka? Yeah. How does he find all this information all the time?
Yeah, it's very obvious now that you guys are putting this together for me.
And so she's like, cool, we'll go there. And then it jumps to Calfar. Big, giant forest. And you see these...
really cool shot.
These two guys speaking Huttese. And they find a ship. And let's scrap the hyperdrive for parts and blah, blah, blah. And then you see a Wookiee walk in and yell at him. And they raise their gun to him. And he just force pulls it and breaks it in half and screams at him. And they run away. And he goes in a ship. And that's it. Yep. The episode is done. So,
did you like it a little bit more as you're explaining it, Jeremiah?
No, I said I like the story. I have no problem with the story. I just think the execution and the aesthetics and the weird dialogue is kind of crappy, but the story is fine.
Let's see if it'll change over the
But
course of time, Drew.
I think I'm trying to be hopeful. I'm trying to be my classic Jeremiah self, where I defend Disney, Star Wars, and like the story. But if I get one more,
say this felt like old times.
if I get Yord with no shirt on one more time, I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Like,
This felt like old times. This felt like when me and Drew used to be more positive about stuff and Jeremiah was more negative.
Yeah. Well, when he sent that message, I was like, oh, well, Jeremiah hates this. All right, here we go again.
So I am hopeful that the story will be great. I just hope the execution gets up to par.
They
Mark my words.
Execute it better.
And we're going to probably be spending a lot of time in just forest next episode, I'm guessing. So,
well, mark my words. If the Knights of Ren play a part in this, I might sue Disney.
What crime did they commit?
Emotional damage.
It's not a crime.
You have damaged me emotionally.
That's not a crime.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a crime. I would make it legal.
Make it legal.
Yeah.
Right.
Or illegal.
Call your senator and they'll write it in for you.
I'm gonna call Sheev.
Call Sheev.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts or predictions or ideas about these first 2 episodes?
No.
I mean,
I kind of explained what I thought.
Yeah, next episode is going to be, I would imagine it's going to be part them talking on Coruscant and then part her trying to kill Kilnaka. And I don't.
Do you think that like white kid that's clearly a Padawan?
Jackie.
Do you think that's what's his name's the
you talk about the one in the trailers that has the black eyes? He gets like put under a spell.
Yes. He's also on the poster.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just another Jedi that.
I think he's on the poster?
Yeah, he's on the poster. I'm looking at him right now.
There's different posters.
Oh.
It's like the one with the 3 like columns.
Yes. He's on like the. If you look at my thing, he's right here.
Huh.
And then there's also like that Queel looking guy too on it. I wonder if he's like the Wookiee's Padawan.
Maybe.
No, because the Wookiee one is all by himself. He's in.
Yeah, he's exiled.
True. Oh yeah.
Oh, I see what you're talking. Yeah, StarWars.com has a poster gallery, and I'm looking at the one that you. Yeah, he is on there.
In the
he is on there.
But Indira is also on there, and she was in there for 5 minutes. So
Indira,
whatever.
And then there's an animal looking character towards the bottom too.
Yeah, he looks like Quill.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's the same species.
But yeah, who knows?
Any other thoughts, boys?
Nope. I'm excited. I like it so far. It's nice to have a Star Wars show that my wife also appreciates too. So,
yeah, I like it. I like it more than I did when I started this episode.
Yeah, me too, actually.
So,
even though I kind of liked it. So,
all right, cool. Well, let's transition over to everyone's favorite time of every episode: voicemail time.
It's voicemail time.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Well, before we get into the 2 audio voicemails, we did have a
don't
question.
Forget, go back.
Yep. We have a question from Easton from last week's Spotify Q&A. And his question is, what was the worst thing that has happened to you on a plane flight? Make it quick, because I'm sure you guys have flown like a million times more than me.
I'll go quick. Nothing.
What
has happened to me besides some little turbulence, but nothing nothing that is worth telling.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, I've had some turbulence. I've been beside some really smelly people before. But
delays probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say like my worst experiences have been centered around delays, like unexpected delays, or like getting into a plane and then being delayed and sitting on the tarmac for like 2 hours.
Oh, see, I
Um,
haven't had those
yeah,
experiences.
like it's been recent. Like airplanes and flying and all that stuff has gotten so much
It's
worse.
really bad right now.
Yeah. But like, so I've been to San Francisco from LA 3 times on day trips for work up to this point, and all 3 of them have just been disgusting. Like I missed my flight this last time and had to get a later flight, and then my flight back got delayed. But it ended up being delayed a total of 2 hours and 5 minutes, and I was supposed to leave at 8:55, and it left at 11. So it's stuff like that. But like I've never had anything bad happen on a plane, like on the plane.
Yeah. Yeah, me either.
So
Like the worst experience that I can say wasn't even to me, but it was like my brother-in-law when we were in Hawaii, his flight was delayed 2 days. Like his flight was canceled, and the next flight he could get out was 2 days later, and that was like when all that stuff was happening with Alaska. And
mm,
pretty much any flight, because of that door, any flight with that number, like whatever that plane line of planes were all pulled. Like we were all at his house about to leave the next morning, and he's like, "Yeah, I went on an earlier flight so I can get there earlier before you guys." Well, he didn't even come for 2 more days later. So
so he was just in Hawaii.
no, he was supposed to be in Hawaii at noon,
Oh,
and we were supposed to get there at like 8. So
so
he was
he
gonna
was.
go get the rental car and pick us up from the airport. But then his flight didn't leave for two
Oh,
more days, and he
dang.
got
I
there
was gonna say if he was in Hawaii, that's not a bad deal. You
No, is
just
that I was actually hoping
go
that on
sleep
our
on the.
way back, we were gonna be
Yeah,
on those flights so that we could just stay in Hawaii an extra day
yeah.
and, like, figure it out, but no, it was, like, the opposite where he literally had to get a new flight 2 days later, and it was as soon as he could because everyone had the same problems when they're trying to get a different flight, and so he made it, like, like, the day before the wedding that he was supposed to be in. When he missed, like, 2 days of his vacation essentially that he
Dang,
paid for already with,
dang.
like, the hotel and everything, and he couldn't get any funding back, so it was just, like, a bummer for him, but I haven't personally had any experiences, knock on wood.
I
But
will
I did
say,
get strip searched in Iceland for 0 reason at all because Iceland air sucks, so that was actually one thing. My name was pulled out of a random thing to get
they just thought you were attractive.
I don't know, it was dumb.
They thought you were smooth.
It was so stupid. Coming back from Italy the second or Paris the second
I
time.
will say, so when I went to Alabama, when Micaiah and I went down
Say
to
no more.
Alabama, we were by the bathroom on one of the flights. I will say
Ooh.
we had a ton of leg room, loved that, but the smells did not enjoy those. But that's like the worst thing. It was not like ever been on a flight where like that person, like that woman, like pooped herself down the aisle. Do you remember that video
Yeah.
that happened on that flight? Oh my gosh.
Or like someone passed out on the airplane and they're like, doctor, doctor, doctor. Like
Yeah.
nothing like that has happened to
Yeah. Have
me.
you seen that show Hijack with Idris Elba on Apple TV Plus?
Mm-mm.
If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's wild. But I've never been hijacked before, so thank the Lord.
For real.
Anything, Jeremiah? You got any?
Well, I have not flown as many times as you guys have, but one time flying into Chicago, the plane landed really hard and then bounced, and it was kind of scary for that 2 seconds. But it was
Yeah.
like boom, like it wasn't like it was like
It wasn't like a do do do. It was like
it
a,
like the front hit really hard and bounced back up,
Dang.
and but I'm still alive. So
I had a coworker that was like getting their flight like license and like they're like after becoming a pilot I will never fly commercial ever again because of how little the pilots are trained properly and stuff. I was like,
Jeez.
I don't need to hear that because I don't have a luxury just to rent a plane and go fly where I want
Yeah.
to, like you do. It kind of scared me a little bit, but
All right. Well, thank you, Easton, for that question.
Mm-hmm.
So we have two other voicemails tonight. First up, first time sender
Ooh.
from Jakob,
Hey yo.
that is from another country. And so let's see if we can figure out. He has a question, but we also see if we can
Is
theorize
this the one
where
that
he's
you've been
from.
saying his name wrong this entire time?
Yeah, Jacob with a K.
Oh.
That he corrected us as Jakob. And I was like, oh, that means you're from a different country, I think. So he does have an accent, so we can theorize.
Wait, do you not know he's from a different country?
No.
We don't know. We just assume that Jakob, and then he also has an accent. So
What if it's just Southern?
it's
We'll find out.
definitely
What's
not.
up, y'all? It's
Let's-
Jakob.
Let's take a listen to Jakob's first ever voicemail, and let's see what his question is.
Hello, it's Jakob here. Today, can I ask you a question? Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo? And this is my first voicemail, so if I get anything wrong, don't blame me. Well, see you next time, or hear you. Not sure.
All right, thank you, Jakob, and you did perfectly fine. It came through, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great job.
Great.
Nailed it.
I feel like something Scotland, Ireland,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's what
Jakob,
I
if you
was
send us another one, let us know if you're okay sharing where you're from. Let us
Yeah.
know. If not,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. But thanks. We love hearing those accents. And his question was,
Jeremiah's like General Grievous with accents. He's like,
Yeah.
this will make a fine addition to my collection. He's just like Jeremiah opens his coat. He's got accents in there.
yep. But his question was, Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo, which one do we prefer?
Switch, Nintendo.
Nintendo. I'm PlayStation. I'm PlayStation for life.
This is hard for me.
But Drew's like a PC guy, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say now I'm neither, but I don't know.
If it was
It's-
just Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah, if it's
'Cause
just those
I
two,
started on
yeah.
PlayStation.
If it's just those two, yeah, for sure, 100% PlayStation. Like that's what. Like I don't have a PS5 because I don't need a PS5, but if I would buy a console right now, it would be PS5, not an Xbox One or Xbox One S, or I don't even know what they are right now.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Like
I feel like, it's either someone's PlayStation or Xbox, but I feel like most people are pro Nintendo.
yeah, because Nintendo has its own stuff. Like you
Own
can't
stuff,
play
yeah.
Mario on anything but
Right.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
And that's why Xbox is no longer making Xboxes for like going forward. Like they're not coming out with another type of Xbox. Like they're done because
Wait, really?
yeah, because
I
all
never
their
heard that.
yeah, because all their games and stuff are now on like Steam and stuff. So like you can play all their stuff. So they're just gonna focus on computer stuff now. Like they're
Huh.
not making consoles anymore.
Wow.
Like they're still doing what they're doing, but like
Yeah.
come the PS6, like they're not gonna compete with the PS6 anymore. Like they're just
Wow.
not. So
Interesting.
at
Wow.
some point it's just gonna be PlayStation
Wow.
and
I'm just waiting for the Switch
Nintendo
2 to
again.
drop.
Yeah.
I love my Switch so much.
Yeah, I definitely I have both. Like I have a Switch and I love those games, so it's kind of hard. I would say probably pro Nintendo at this point, considering like everything else I can play on my PC, and you cannot play Pokemon on your PC, but I
Yeah.
can play it on my Switch. So
You can
probably,
get an emulator.
well, I'm saying like the new ones,
Oh, that's
or
true.
like
Yeah.
Animal
Yeah.
Crossing, the new one, or
Oh,
like
I love Animal Crossing.
or Mario Kart. Like, yeah, sure, I can find an
Oh, I
emulator,
freaking love
but
Mario
Mario Kart. So the other day, I came home to little baby Miles on the on his belly, playing Nintendo Switch at 2 years old with his feet up in the air, behind, like crossed, and he's just playing. I was like, "What is happening?" And stuff's like, I don't know. He just took it and started playing, and he was playing Mario Odyssey. And I was watching him, and he actually was playing it. And I'm like, dude,
At
you're
2
2
years
years old.
Yeah, he's 2.5, almost
Oh,
coming up
that's
on
true.
3.
What
Yeah,
the
yeah.
heck?
I'm like, but kids just know stuff now that we like.
They
I
got
don't know.
that
I was
that
just like,
preemptive DLC.
it's I don't know. I
Jeez.
was like, I can't. I have a picture of it. I'll put it on our Discord. But I was like,
Oh, by the way, check your phone.
what is happening right now?
Oh, we're not going on our tangent.
No, we're not going on a tangent. He just mentioned Ninja Turtles, and it reminded me of a meme that I saw earlier today that I figured he would find funny.
All right. Well,
Bro.
thank you.
Well, I was mentioning because anytime we walk by sewer, Miles goes like, "Shh, turtles."
Oh,
So anytime we go on walks, he'll be like, "Daddy, shh, turtles," and he'll point to the sewer like manifold thing. It's hilarious because he thinks all the turtles are in all the sewer. That's
in Minnesota, that's where they're
yeah,
at.
not
New York. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jakob, for that voicemail. We love to hear from you again via voicemail and seeing you in the Spotify Q&A as well.
Yeah.
But we have one last voicemail from our good friend, Uncle Owen. So let's take a listen.
Hey Empire Radio, Owen here with another voicemail. My question for you guys today is, what Star Wars show do you think has the best first episode? The Acolyte premiered yesterday, and I thought that its first episode was one of the best that I've seen in a Star Wars show.
Ooh.
Thanks, may the Force be with you. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Uncle Owen. So that is a good question. So what shows do we have? We have the Clone Wars. We have Rebels. We have Resistance. We
It's
have
definitely not the Clone Wars.
we have Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. We have the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka.
We sure he's not
Andor.
just talking about live action shows?
He said shows.
Okay, fine.
A show is a show, and then we have Acolyte. And we can't and
Boba
Ewoks.
Fett.
We can't forget Ewoks.
Boba Fett. Did you mention Book of Boba Fett?
Yes.
It's
Oh, you
not
did.
Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, no, it's not. I just didn't know.
First episode.
I would
Mando season 1 was really strong. Acolyte is pretty high up there for me. I know, Jeremiah, you freaking hate it, but it's.
I liked Acolyte, but Mando season 1, episode 1.
That's kind of goated.
Was like the thing.
Dude, I watched that on my lunch break, working full time at North Central with Nathan Grubbs and my wife, who was also that full time at North Central at that time, and we pulled it up in the conference in the Miller Hall first floor conference room on the screen.
Yeah,
and watched it on the freaking projector. I would say Mando is first for me. Acolyte is second. Definitely not Clone Wars. That first season as a whole was it's a little rough.
There's some good stuff in that first season.
I mean, sure, but comparatively speaking, I mean, it gets way better the farther you get in. Rebels was one of those slow burns for me.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely picked up.
Rebels
and Obi-Wan too. I would say for me it's either Mando season 1 or Obi-Wan episode 1. I really like that opening episode for Obi-Wan.
It was very nostalgia, but
also like I don't know if this counts, but like Andor, like the first 3 episodes, because they were released all at one time, and so that was like the opening to the show that we got, and
that doesn't count.
I don't know though. I forgot about Andor's episode was really good.
The first one though was kind of slow.
It was 3 episodes though. So it was all
but like you immediately get him killing the guy in cold blood. Like,
true, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it didn't really pull any. Shoot,
I forgot about that part.
Okay, Mando's still.
I think
one.
Mando's number 1 for me.
But oh man,
because Mando, like, we watched it at Jeremiah's house, and it was like a fun thing. We did a podcast right afterwards, the beginning
of this whole thing,
thing, yeah. And like, but then it was like the first live action show ever.
Okay, but aside from the experience, though.
Well, the episode's amazing. Like,
yeah, I
the
still
first
feel like
scene of him walking in the winter,
warm,
and he like,
cold.
yeah, and then he cuts a guy in half with the door, and he like walks in with the fob, and we're like, what is this little thing? Like, the whole thing is just.
I need to rewatch.
You do.
That.
I started
really
it.
You need to watch the shows that you've missed. That's what you need.
Oh, that's
Have
true.
you started watching any of it yet?
No, I got Disney Plus yesterday.
Okay, sorry. I don't know. Maybe
for the Acolyte. No. I
When are you
literally
gonna
got
start
it
watching
yesterday.
Bad Batch?
Yeah, I do. I gotta catch up on everything.
Bad Batch,
Bad Batch
Tales.
season 3, one of the best seasons of all TV shows for Star Wars.
It's yeah.
Hot take. It might be my favorite season of any Star Wars show.
Wow.
From start to finish, like it's the most like consistently good.
There's
every
like
episode.
no filler in that show. Like there's
Drew, is it better than Andor for you?
no.
Okay.
Not for me. But
Okay.
Andor is like
Andor's like maybe better, but
Andor's goated in my opinion.
Andor.
it's the best. It's the best show, but it's only been one season, so it's hard to like. It's the best show, but it's still not as good as one season of
Like,
Bad. I don't know.
Andor is like, dude. What really pushed it over the edge for me is
I can't swim. Yep.
yeah. I there's nothing that can beat that moment in my life.
Luthen's monologue. He should have. Skarsgård should have won an award for that monologue. It gives me chills every time I think about it.
All right, we go on a rant.
Anyways,
I'm
I'll say Mandalorian. I'm gonna go with Mandalorian season 1, episode 1.
Yeah. Me too.
All
I
right.
think we all agreed on that.
Close second would probably be Andor, and then my third would be Acolyte. I still really enjoyed this a lot.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Well, that is our breakdown and voicemail section. So thank you to Jakob and Owen for those voicemails. And we just got to go over some socials and we'll get out of here tonight. So if you want to get connected to Empire Radio in any way, shape, or form, go in the description below, click the link, and there's a links.co/Empire Radio. Links below to us. Click that landing page for everything. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, join the Discord, send a voicemail, send us an email. Check out needlesslynerdy.com, which is an entertainment network that we're a part of. So go check out all that stuff and get connected. And if you want someone to talk to about the Acolyte show, we have a thing in the Discord specifically about the Acolyte. You can just talk about the show.
Just don't talk to Jeremiah about it.
No,
he's not gonna want to talk to you.
I'm very active. Have most of the comments in that thread today. But yeah, so please get connected with us and send in voicemails. We love to hear from you. But yeah,
go over to YouTube, subscribe, and with that, also on Twitch, go follow us over there because episode 3 there'll be a watch party the night that it gets dropped. So make sure if you guys want to watch it live with me, as soon as it drops, you go over to twitch.tv/Empire
8 p.m.
Radio.
Central on Tuesday nights.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
I might get on a little early and play some Star Wars themed games. So
The new
Star
Star Wars
1
Hunters just came out.
Star Wars Hunters.
Is that a mobile game or is that a?
I don't freaking.
don't
It's
know.
on Switch. It's on Switch. I don't know.
I'm not gonna play it if that's what you're
Yeah, it's like
asking.
no one asked for that.
I
No
was
one did.
thinking more Fortnite with Star Wars characters. I want
Anyway,
to
Play Pod or episode 1 Racers, dude.
Can I even get that?
Yeah, it's on Switch.
Well,
It's probably on Steam too. It's probably on Steam because they remastered it.
oh, that might be cool.
You can play through
actually.
Republic Commandos.
All right, cool. Anything else, boys?
Nah.
All right, you've
No.
been listening to another Acolyte-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah,
I'm Andrew.
I'm Drew.
and may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.